forever for history.
Oh my God! There's no way!
Fabiano on smiling. This is immortality stuff.
MVL is on the doorstep here. Look at the confidence that he's playing with. It's all over.
12 seconds.
G7.
Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is the winner of the CrunchLabs Masters.
Black simply takes and goes rook d1 and picks up white's bishop, and he'll let his clock run out. Alexander Grischuk, he does it.
Wow, 1 second, and he's blundered Duda. He's just gone from winning to losing in one move. This is just madness.
Right with the team, cause you know that we winning, we with it, we going, we flowing again.
Magnus Magic. He's done it again.
When you need to win against Magnus Carlsen, not sure what to recommend.
This is just knockout.
Is he trying for a stalemate trap there?
That was so sneaky.
Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat.
Checkmate in one coming in. These are the last.
Oh, and he's losing!
And Magnus cannot believe it. He's so mad at himself.
Wow, you never see this. Absolute hats off.
Welcome everyone to the Julius Baer Generation Cup, the fourth and final leg of the 2024 Champions Chess Tour. I'm Grandmaster Robert Hess. Alongside me is my good friend, FIDE Master James Cannon III. James, yesterday we had the Swiss portion of the play-in. Today we get matches. Big names like Jan Nepomniachtchi, Magnus Carlsen, they joined the fray. How pumped are you to see them in action?
We got big names and bigger chess, of course, and I'm super pumped. I'm here with the chat. I'm here with my twin brother, Big Body Bobby Hess. It's going to be a great day, of course, as we get to see these players try to qualify for Division One.
And we will have some big names, but before we get into the X's and O's of today's show, I want to remind everybody of where we're at in terms of the Champions Chess Tour, because we started this thing all the way back at the end of January. We're now into September. The Julius Baer Generation Cup is the final leg. If you win it, you make December's finals. A special announcement on those finals to come later today. But we do know 3 players who have already made it through by winning the previous legs, the CrunchLabs Masters, Chess.com Classic, and CrunchLabs Masters. So James, today it will determine who the 8 players will be in the top division in this final leg of the tour.
There's a lot on the line, of course. I mean, there's money, there's pride, there's fans watching, and of course, for some players, their first time making it to Division One, as we have this event really every year. Such strong players come through it, and you get to face the best of the best at the top of the world. It's awesome. Well, it's really great to see.
For sure, James. There are big ratings, big names, and big prize funds up for grabs. So let's look at who is actually competing for that top division. 3 names have already secured placement. We know who they are. And then 5 from this bunch will join them. The names in gold, led at the top by Fedoseev, the hero of yesterday's action. They get to skip that first match, kind of like in some sports playoffs, like in the NFL. You get that bye, but who awaits you? The names that you see from 6 to 15, and big names there, James. Wesley So, Levon Aronian, Alexander Bornik, all the way down there to Jose Martinez, Madaminov, and Oparin. Super strong players no matter where you turn your head.
Exciting to see, too. I talked to Bach yesterday on Instagram, so shout out to Bach playing. He's pumped. He's ready to go. Bortnick, I'm a big fan of, big friend as well. So it's good to see these players play, especially Min Lei, a very wholesome, as he likes to use that word all the time, streamer, and also a great player. I mean, awesome. Just did great at the Olympiad as well. So these players, especially fresh off the Olympiad, a lot of these players are sharp, so you actually get to see some prep and maybe even sharper chess than before.
And as you said, some great matchups there, James. It's hard to choose a favorite. Some Super Grandmasters, Wesley So, Levon Aronian, some Olympiad medalists like Min Lei, and then Benjamin Bach versus Jose Martinez. Kind of like a battle of streamers. But don't forget, just because they make content doesn't mean that they can't take the gloves off and start fighting each other on the chessboard.
Hey, I thought this was chess, Bobby. Okay, we gonna have to chill, man. We got kids watching this. We don't want anybody getting hurt. Except us is on the chessboard here. So, of course, we see the boys ready to go. Jose Martinez winning Title Tuesdays, and of course, playing some of his greatest chess in his career so far.
And Jose looking ready for like an academic exam or something. He looks ready to go. He looks studious and serious, but he wants to join these 3 names that have already secured placement in the top division based on their performance in the CrunchLabs Masters, the previous leg, the third of the 4 Champions Chess Tour, events. So we see Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. He was the winner. He took down Alireza Firouzja, and who finished in second. And then Alexander Grischuk, he won that 2nd division. So we believe in promotion here, and we are promoting these 3 players. James, these are 3 huge names in the chess world. It remains to be seen who joins them.
And it's good to see Grischuk too as well. It's like, sometimes you just forget how strong he is. He's just like chilling, living life, and then, oh shoot, we got Grischuk showed up, and at any given time he can play, the best chess in the world. I mean, being a Blitz player to Blitz champ many times, right? Russian champs as well. So very strong player. And then you have Firouzja, you got MPL there. So big heavy hitters here, and a lot of chess to be played. So it's exciting.
And it's not just prize money, not just bragging rights. There are tour points up for grabs. So while we have a second here, let's take a look at the tour standings, which are brought to us by Julius Baer, the official wealth management partner of the Champions Chess Tour. And as we see these standings, we already know 4 names, in fact, that have secured placement into the finals in December. The top 4 there: Alireza Firouzja, Magnus, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. They've already won legs of the CCT. Jan Nepomniachtchi gets in because he will get in based on the leaderboard. And then after that, James, it's up for grabs. You see the amount of prize money they've already earned, the tour points thus far. They want to add to those totals.
That's crazy. Firouzja just sitting up there like, listen, 70K, I'm just about to chill, right? Like but it's all through chess too as well, which is amazing. You got Magnus right behind you, so if I'm Firouzja, you just feel very confident, right, in the field and what's going on. You want to add to the tour points. And if I'm somewhere on the second side of the list, for instance, like Benjamin Bach there, nice payday, thanks Chess.com. But also, I do need to make myself on the left side of that list, these tour points, and play my best chess.
That's right. You want to continue pursuing the top division and all those points and dollars that you can gain. Thanks so much to Julius Baer, the official CCT partner throughout the years. Always a pleasure to have this event. And James, we just noted 4 players who have stamped their ticket. They've booked their place in the finals come December. The other players, they're on the bubble. They need to have some great performances to get up on the leaderboard or just win the whole thing, right? If you win the top division, you make your way to the finals. Otherwise, James, we can see Wesley So. He needs to score 5th in the top division, or if he doesn't make it through, he needs 2nd place in Division 2 to mean that he controls his own destiny. So the rest of the players need to get 2nd place in Division 1 just to make sure they're in, but only one player can get 2nd place, James, and Lazovic, he's got the inside track because he only needs 2nd in Division 2 rather than Division 1. But you want to control your own destiny, and some of these players, they will have to rely on the dominoes following in their favor.
Let me tell you something. I'm very excited about this type of format and what's on the line, because when you put them in a room like this and only one player is coming out of there, you're going to see some of the best chess you've ever seen, right? Well, maybe even more risk taken in certain situations, but you have to be sharp here if you want to make it to Division 1.
For sure, you have to be sharp because there's not really that much time, not just only on the clock, but yesterday we had a 9-round Swiss. Today's action, it's a bit different here in match play because the players, they have a set opponent and the time control remains the same, 10 minutes plus 2 seconds bonus time with each and every move played. But it's 1.5 points. That is the number you need to get to. It's a best of 2 games. James, white in one game, black in the other. If you win, you move on. If you lose, you go to Division 2, which that's a great place to be. But of course, all these players want to be in the top division.
Absolutely. Of course, losing, right? Losing is not an option. I mean, you do go to Division 2, so okay, it's not, you're still playing with excellent players there, but you just want to win or go home type thing, right? 1.5 wins the match, so you might have to start off with something maybe a little bit more risky and then go for something a little bit more solid. Maybe switch it up, solid first, then risky. So strategy is definitely important here. Also, the clock is two as well, so make sure you have good time management throughout the match.
The clock is the 17th piece, as you like to say, James. And well, while we have a moment here, we're going to throw to a piece that explains all that is the Champions Chess Tour and how it's all broken down. So let's take a look at that.
Every Champions Chess Tour event kicks off with a play-in tournament, followed by match play on the second day to determine placement across Divisions 1, 2, and 3. The remaining players then compete in these 3 divisions across 6 days of grueling yet thrilling double elimination knockout chess. All players are battling to earn their chunk of the $300,000 prize fund and tour leaderboard points. But the biggest prize is a spot directly to the live finals at the end of the year. After 3 legs of the tour, Alireza Firouzja, Magnus Carlsen, and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave have each won an event and secured their golden ticket. Now, with just 1 tournament remaining, the race intensifies. Who will take the last seats in the final? 2 stages, 3 divisions, one chance for glory. Julius Baer Generation Cup.
As we welcome you back to the Julius Baer Generation Cup, you see Alexander Bortnik on your screen. Will he be one of the players who make it to Division 1? Can he win the whole thing and stamp a ticket to the finals in December? We have a very important announcement to make. I have to just hold off a little bit with that, but Grigory Oparin, that's a familiar face, James, on the U.S. chess circuit. He works with Fabiano Caruana. Can he be one of the players in that top division?
Yeah, of course, he's not. They don't talk about him much, but he's very, very strong, of course, to make it even this far. So he can be a wild horse or anything, a dark horse, right, to be able to take down one of these players here that may be your favorite. Of course, you got Wesley, a.k.a. Flexley So, on the screen there. Looks like he's flashing his laptop to maybe fair play or getting something going there, but he's ready to go as well. So I'm excited to see, especially Bortnik, my guy. I know he likes Joe Baba, so definitely want to see if he throws that out there today.
I always love this, James, where you get the different colors for each board. That way we can name our matchup based on the color of the board. We see Levon Aronian, purple board. We have a Sicilian going on there, and that is definitely going to be fun. And Bortnik, I know in the red, in the middle there, James. Here it comes.
There it is.
James, tell
We're
everybody.
going right to that. We're going to that board right now, sir. Oh, my goodness. This is Jar Jar Binks London at his finest, of course, a.k.a. the Joe Baba London. That, of course, I got a course on it. He has a course on it. It's great. It's awesome to watch. So far, so good. It looks like Oparin is not playing, though. He's playing he prepped. He definitely prepped. To be moving this fast, he knew it was coming.
James, Grigory Oparin is a second for Fabiano Caruana, and that's not just because he picked the wrong guy. He knows how well prepared Oparin is in the opening. So you are one of the biggest proponents of this variation from the white side. What is going on here? Because White has these double isolated B pawns, but also a queen on A1, now a bishop on E5. Is this all familiar to you?
It's very familiar, in fact, and this is deep inside of the course from Bortnik and Danya, right? So they made a course on this as well, and this is actually right into the files. Well, now, of course, before the bishop was off the board, I was going to say, they leave in the text, oh, we have the bishop pair, and we can work, but okay, right? So, but here now the bishop's gone, so this is right off the head. Oparin came prepared though. Usually, as you see, Bortnik played Joe Baba here. But it's really hard when you're playing someone so prepared like this. This man he didn't use any time. I still like White here, obviously, as we have initiative. We just feel a little bit more active, and also, biased because of Joe Baba. But we'll see what happens.
Well, the H7 pawn's already under attack, so you're talking about that activity. We see that clearly that there are going to be ideas with winning that pawn on H7. Black cannot castle, and James, I guess if Black plays H6, I'm just wondering how valuable is it. Okay, what? The H7 pawn is hanging. He plays C6 over here because he's saying that the queen will win the B4 pawn with check. So, James, come on, you know this. You literally made a course on this opening. Yeah. You've watched Bortnik and Danya's course. This is still somehow in their theory. I'm just very confused.
This is right up the Joe Baba alley here. Of course, E3 is good. You play bishop D3, knight F3, and you may even castle and just try to play on the queen side too as well. Also, when you're playing an opening that you're comfortable with, no matter, maybe not no matter, but even if you maybe even slightly worse from a computer's standpoint, you would actually feel really good. In fact, I remember Fabi saying he would like to choose lines that was like 2 or 3, on the engine that may be slightly even worse for him, but he's more comfortable in those type of positions. So overall, I think Bortnik actually is comfortable here. Oparin definitely whipped out some theory, though. We know that he has prepped this very, very nicely because of how far he got, how fast, and up on time as well.
Yeah, and because White is undeveloped on the king side here, there is a threat down on H7, but the White queen is importantly covering this B4 pawn. So the queen, it can't just go on over, venture to the king side just yet because that B4 pawn is very important. I kind of like Black's position, James. I know that might insult you because you're a Jabao player, but Bobby, I feel like Black has done everything right.
How could you, Robert? No, it's I definitely agree here. I think Black is slightly better here, and he played it correctly. Everything was just sharp and fast here. I think that bishop B5. I'm going to check the file right now because I do remember. Now I have to go see on my other screen. I'm checking the file right now to see if bishop B5 was the move or is it bishop G3, maybe even bishop D2. But I'm very curious now. I'm checking the file.
Well, Oparin, he is trying to go into his memory bank, or he has to come up with moves right here and now. He may be out of prep at this late point. E5, to my eyes, looks very natural, James, just trying to expand in the center. There's nothing that Black can do about this H7 pawn. I mean, H6 just creates another weakness on the light squares. So I feel like E5 is a nice expanding move for Black, and just saying, I have everything under control for now.
And I found it. Okay, bishop e5. I'm finding the entire file here. Okay, bishop e5, and it's loading f6. Yes, f6 happened. Bishop g3. That's crazy. Like, all of this already happened. And knight d7 was the move instead of knight takes g3. So that's a new move. Knight takes g3, which is natural, was a newer move. Knight d7 is like, file or whatever, and you go e3. But
I'm just going to show that real quick because it's important to note that you're saying knight d7 is the move that's recommended in the course. So because Bortnik, he gave away his secrets, he's saying that knight d7 is best. And Oparin, we know how well prepared he is. He says, you know what, I'm going to deviate from that. I'm going to take your bishop. He didn't even think before he did that. And as we got to this current position, Black has not touched the h-pawn, at least not yet, but it seems like now finally Oparin is out of preparation, and he plays king e7, a perfectly reasonable move. I know some people may think, did he mouse slip? Why is his king up there? Because there's no, that does not deserve a question mark. I'm taking that question mark away. I'm giving that a thumbs up. To me, that is a perfectly good move, James. King e7, your king is not unsafe there.
I'm a fan of it. King e7 is a good move here. It's just, getting the king closer to the pawns here, and also maybe even activating the rook somehow. But it just feels a little safer, with your king on e7. You get away from the light squares because of the queen g6 type stuff after taking on h7. I was still thinking even take on h7, maybe just bishop e2 though. Bishop e2, I do want to run away at some point, but you got to watch out for like a queen d1 at the right moment. So lots of ideas here. I'm curious. What does our silicone friend say? What does white?
It says equal, of course, right? Just
equal,
nothing happening here. Just play developing moves. Knight e2 play, James. I think I spy the tactic he wants. Some kind of knight f4 and then knight to g6. But why don't we head to another game, because we have so much action going across. Knight c3, the only move apparently that keeps the balance. This is a weird position.
That's crazy.
I don't pretend to understand it. But let's go quickly to Levon Aronian's game against Vasyf Durabeli, because as we approach this stage of these games here, look at these bishops. I know, James, you love a good attack. I see a bishop on c2. I see a pawn on h4. It just feels like Levon is trying to go checkmate that black king.
Levon, or LeBron Aronian, as I like to call him. He loves that name too as well. LeBron Aronian is when he plays like this, he is definitely unstoppable. So it feels like he actually has. This looks like a reminiscent of you sent me that game, Robert, that the French game, and I think this looks like maybe this was another French as well, where it was a disgusting attack that LeBron Aronian put on Vasyf Durabeli here. I highly recommend go watch it, but make sure it's parental advisory on that game as well. It was ridiculous, but I think this is a French game as well, and it feels like Levon is feeling really good here with this position.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know because I thought it was a French, but it came from a Sicilian that turned into a French, and now this bad bishop, it was on an open diagonal, so it looked pretty good. He takes this knight back here, clearly afraid of some attacks, but James, it's given a miss. It doesn't love this decision from Black. I think White can just grab it with either piece. He takes with the king. Now you have this bishop on the light squares that Black can't deal with very easily, so it's complete control over the light squares for White.
Might be threatening Greek gift right now, in fact, with bishop h7, bishop g5, knight g5, queen h5. Very possible for people to miss that one. But then the king goes to g6, and the question is obviously if we have queen g4, which I think we do. f5 en passant, rook e6 there is nasty. So could be some ugly stuff here if he misses this Greek gift on the next move.
And actually, if Black takes, maybe you throw in bishop takes h7 check. You gave me the idea there, James. Like, you're actually helping me by taking my bishop, because I don't even have to take you. You're putting my knight on the square it wants to be. So be very careful here if you're Vasyf Durabeli, or if you have a position like this at home, because bishop takes h7 check is going to hurt. And James, I guess h6 would be another idea, but wasn't that bishop pretty important over here? Didn't you just allow queen d3 to happen?
Immediately. You just did that. We was watching your game on the stream maybe a few nights ago. This might have been like Monday, actually. And we was like, let's look at big body Bobby Hess. And then you did some queen c2, knight g5. Then the guy hung mate on h7. And you just kept attacking him. You played knight d5 and just crushed him. And they said, that's exactly what's happening here.
And look at this. So bishop takes h7, brilliancy from Levon. I think both players are kind of looking at the Zoom camera like, oh, wait, was that good? Did I blunder? Like, what just happened here? Vachier did not see this coming.
Yeah, this is as a French player, if you're playing French, you need to know this is the only biggest attack that the French can do is usually something with H-pawns and Greek gift sacrifices that you have to constantly watch out for. So now he might have to run his king to G6, which I think we might see Queen G4 and F5 on Passan. It might be G3.
Can the king hide? I was wondering if the king could hide here, James. Like, Queen D2, the move, and play quickly. So knight C4 was what I thought. And if knight takes F7, you get a double check-in, but the black king will slide away, and the white queen will be in danger. So I'm going to quickly bring up an analysis board, because these positions get so sharp. But I do think that after knight C4, you don't actually take on F7. I think this would be a blunder. It's weird to get a double check, and yet it's a blunder, because when the king goes to G6, if you take the black queen, black takes the white queen with check, and remember, black is up a piece.
Rough. So you have to be very, very accurate here, right? So after Queen D2, we go knight C4, maybe Queen F4, and just kind of, get a little bit closer to the king there.
Oh, this doesn't look very fun, if I'm honest with you, James. I think white is one piece away from delivering a checkmate. Because my question is, if the king does sit on G6, what's the actual follow-up? Queen G4, let's say you play this, then I go back to H6. I'm just dodging you from wherever you're trying to discover checkmate.
Pawn G4 after King G6. This is just, you send everything. Shout out to my uncle Nesbedinov. Actually, my favorite book is actually The Greatest Attacker in Chess, right? So you guys can get that book. But I remember that every time I read that book, you just get inspired to play chess just like him, which is Tao's trainer back in the day. So in his younger days. So G4 and H5, it would send everything. And then it's mate somehow. So you just send every piece. G4 looks really good, but I don't know how to get out of it. Maybe there's something.
I know I can always trust you to come up with some kind of nasty checkmating idea, but G4, H5, force that king back to the H6 square where you'll get a discovered check against it. So in the game, Queen to B6 was played, and white went Queen F4 anyway. And This is looking really scary, because if the king goes to G6, I think you still go G4, H5. James, black has no time, and the king has no shelter.
Well, first off, of course, if you're just glancing at this game and you're like, this is what you teach to your students, never put your king on H6. And it's like, did he castle? Yeah, he castled. Then his king got out to H6. This is pretty tough here. And it's funny, if I'm, it's not even funny. If I'm Dura here, I just would never play the French at least against Levon anymore. Because this is was that game you sent me, was that from yesterday's game?
Yeah, it was. It was from yesterday's
the same thing as yesterday. It's not working. It's just not working. Whoever's the coach in the corner needs to yo, get out of there. We got to stop this, because this 2 games in a row brilliancies from Levon if he's able to convert.
And Levon chose Vachier as his opponent, probably because he beat him so soundly yesterday. It was the game of the day, and now we see that Levon's just back where he left off. G6 played, knight takes E6 check. I guess, James, the black king just slides back. There isn't immediate checkmate, but white will get a second pawn and a rook for 2 knights. So that's actually extra material slightly for white, and white has a safer king.
That is an interesting move there, because he is going to run away. He's going to run for the hills there. You can just grab some material, but is there anything better? Even an H5. You don't even have to leave in. Maybe a E3. It's everything.
I love the way you think, James. H5 here, that feels like it's going right for the black king, because if you take with the G-pawn, you're removing one of the defenders right in front of it. So H5 is one of those bullet moves that you play instantly, and it probably is still good in this position. It just is such a nice attacking move. You're using that little pawn, but actually creating some big problems.
Yeah, it's especially when when you do so many puzzles. Sometimes, especially when you get to the higher ups and 60s and 70s on Puzzle Rush, or even in the 3600s and on puzzles on Chess.com, where the most obvious move is not the move. So you just learn it. Don't look at knight takes F7. I mean, you see it, obviously calculate it, but then you keep looking, because there's, when you find a good move, look for a better one. But okay, right? That's what they say. So you need to still keep looking. So H5 is just very, very interesting.
big fan of h5 here. Levon, he's thinking, so we will, of course, keep everyone updated, but we should go around the horn a little bit, see what's happening elsewhere. It looks like Benjamin Bach has a good position against Jose Martinez. I'm going to show that one here. Well, Levon did just take that pawn on e6 with his knight, so he's going for the rook, material imbalance of rook and 2 pawns for 2 knights. But here, James, this is a strategic edge for white, and the last we played knight a2. It's not the best move, but I think we can see what Benjamin's aiming for. He wants some kind of b4, rook c1, just increase the pressure on the pinned pawn.
That was a very practical move. Engine hated it, but who cares, right? We're playing humans here, and that's a very practical move. It hits c5, you're probably going to defend it. I go b4. That was a very logical move from Bach here, and it makes a ton of sense. Hits c5, do you want me to take it? No, so you're going to defend it. And then b4 comes. I don't even see, Engine always finds these weird, funky things, but, he plays queen b8. Maybe there was like a b4 you could take on b6 with the queen hanging. I don't know, maybe not knight c8. It's crazy stuff there, but Bach also is very comfortable playing. I think this might have been a Catalan because he's a Catalan expert with white. He has great games with this. It feels like it went very well for him. I'm curious to see what did Jose play? Was it a Grunfeld type of situation, or he played King's Indian? But something similar. It's just he has less space, so it's not that fun to play.
Yeah, you know what's weird about this game is the bishop actually started on b7 and then somehow went around to d7. So I'm just looking at the notation ever so quickly. So the opening, it did go white's way, but I would say that this stage, and now it's turning, James, that Jose is so good at finding dynamic play. Like his position, it looked like he had a pinned pawn. He's like, take that darn pawn. I don't want it anyway. Have it. Enjoy it. And now he's just saying the queen side is potentially his for the taking. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move like a5, saying you're going to trade queen, sure, but on my terms. Take my queen. Rook takes back, and now b2 is hanging. Rook c2 is coming. You feel Jose, he is picking up steam here.
Yeah, it's more he's definitely a combative player. He likes to play with compensation and etc. Reminds you of something of a Banco or a Benoni type thing where you open the queen side of the board, play on that side of the board, maybe get that pawn back later. Now, white does have the asset of the d pawn where the knight is controlling a great piece, the best piece to control. Obviously, a passed pawn would be knight, so keeps that under lock and key, but it is kind of sitting there on d6. We try to get b2 back, maybe win a5 or push the a pawn and win b2, and that is a plan for us. So far, so good. I mean, obviously, we still have the extra pawn here, right? 3-6, yeah. So you have the extra pawn, but Jose with compensation.
I like what you said. Very important for everybody at home, what James just said here. The knight on d6, it's the best blockader because the d5 pawn is not going anywhere. And the knight keeps the bishop on g2 honest. It also can jump forward to c4. So knights are the best blockading pieces because they see across, whereas like rook, you're just staring right into that little pawn there. So this game is getting tense, and I'm just going to quickly check out what's happening elsewhere because Levon, he is doing very well right now. Wesley, so we haven't looked at his game, but if I just click on it real quick here, we see that with the white pieces in game one, he want to prove an advantage here. He was back to g4. It's a material imbalance. White is up in exchange, but black has some serious activity here and now stole a central pawn. So it's a bishop and a pawn. And what is knight f5 hanging f2 with check?
I was just thinking it. That's crazy because knight e7 and both the knights hanging? That is wicked. It's a family channel. That's crazy, bro.
oh my goodness. That is like the most count. And he finds it. Of course, Wesley does.
The machine. Oh, man. Somebody check that, man. Wow. Wesley playing out of his mind.
Because you give up the f2 pawn with check. You lose your rook. And the whole point, everyone, is that once Wesley takes back, he says 2 knights in a row. And if you protect the knights, then knight e7, there's a fork down there hitting the rook on c8. So white is actually giving up material to win even more. And we're going to get an odd material imbalance where white has a little bit extra.
Yeah, that was a nasty move. Knight f5 was insane because now we have king f1 after bishop f2. And then knight e7, both the knights hanging. Like, jeez. That was amazing. Great job. What was this opening?
This opening, it stemmed, we see it was a Spanish, and it was one of those where black plays an early b5 and bishop c5. So it started as like an anti-Berlin that entered into those kind of archangel type positions. So this is just we see the end of the sequence. This is it. The knights are in a row. You can protect them, but then knight e7 check is a fork. So what you have to do as black is give up this knight on e4, and then white has an extra minor piece for just 2 pawns. James, this is Wesley in great form. I mean, he won the last 2 games of the Olympiad. Yesterday, he was 7 out of 8 before he lost to Fedoseev in the final round. So he's continuing some great form that he's shown over the last month.
Dang, Fedoseev too. He lost. That's crazy. We keep hearing it. Like Fedoseev just beat Magnus at the Olympia. Like, you know, Fedoseev is really tearing things up right now. Everyone's really playing sharp chess, especially fresh off the Olympiad as well. So you're going to see, you know, some of the best of their chess right now, which is awesome to see for us.
Okay, well, Madaminov will try his best, but we want to note that 2 results are in. Min Lei takes down David Anton. He had the white pieces. Levon Aronian, we saw he was well on his way to victory. He secures it. I quickly want to turn our attention to a game that, well, it started off with one of your favorite openings, but I don't think you're going to like the outcome here because Black's king is on b6, so that seems bad, but Black is actually with the safer king, and you see the blue arrow. Queen h4 will be checkmate, James, and he misses it. He goes in the wrong direction to his opponent.
I was going to say, get this off the screen at first, but then, you know, things happen, so we're back here. Just one for the Jobava lovers here, because we are still in the game here, finally. Yeah, man, that was tough. We're going to have to get that off the screen very soon, but we are fighting. Oh, Queen d6 is going to be, yeah, there he is. Queen a3, we found it.
It's funny because now we just went from what could have been a checkmate attack for either side to now we're in this end game where is the bishop better than the knight? Can that knight hop around? We actually have even material, but it doesn't look like that because black has these 2 unopposed pawns on the queen side and white has these double pawns on the g file. So this pawn looks like the most dangerous, but the bishop is, I'll put that in a different color, is better than the knight on d7. So it's this very odd imbalance that you don't see too often.
Yeah, it's different. Definitely, f4. I was going to say you're going to create that pass pawn as quickly as humanly possible. Is what you want to do. Black, on the other hand, is restricted by the d pawn. The d pawn there kind of stops. They say 1 pawn freezes 2, so or more. But you know the c pawn is kind of frozen there. The b pawn you can use, but it won't be. It's not good for being a potential pass pawn. Realistically, I think the pawn, if we get this g5 in, Black it may be in some trouble here, as that pawn's going to be running quite quickly, especially with the bishop defending on g8.
Exactly as James said, quick f4, g5, that pawn is just going to the other side. But after the trade, so white's pawn structure, the bathtub formation over here, it looks more formidable, but that knight just clearly improved from d7, a passive square, to c4, where it's hitting the rook, but also this e3 pawn. And you can see by the clock, James, that both players, they know that they have to be accurate here, otherwise what could be a drawn game, a balanced game, will end in favor of one of them.
Absolutely, and you also want to take advantage of the white pieces here, as they say the professional ways. You know, win with white, draw with black. Obviously, you can win with both sides, but it's having white here. You want to take every advantage that you can. I win this game. Let's say with white. I'm Bortnik here. I'm like, yes, all I need is that draw. Match over, right? So obviously, don't play for a draw, but yeah, you want to try to milk everything you can here. And white having this pass pawn of g5 is very potential here. He did push the b pawn apparent. So trying to use his pass pawn as well, but white could be a little bit quicker. At king f5, giving up the e3 pawn, king takes f6, and try to just push the pawn all in, Hail Mary.
Wow, I like king f5 there. This is actually a position that looks difficult for black because knights are notoriously slow pieces at stopping far away past pawns. But if the king went up, I guess rook takes e3 was a potential fear. The b pawn isn't too far from promotion either. So I would say this is anyone's game at this point. Will white play for e4 all of a sudden? The bishop did come to f5, so I assume that he may want to push in the center.
Yeah, it's so annoying with e4 because then he checks me. I guess he checks me around the h5 or g6. Just saw rook f1, rook g3, rook h1, like all these stupid checks. So e4, we have to be timing there, a good timing, unless we just take with the bishop there. But the king goes back to d6, and maybe king f5 there, possible.
And you could tell that it's a bit easier to play for black at the moment because this rook on c3, it can't go anywhere. Would love to get to the a file, but that thorn in white's side is a knight on c4. So, okay, e4 played, apparently a mistake. I guess,
Dang,
James,
big mistake.
I didn't even have to draw the arrow. Rook d1 and d4 is just loose.
Oh, yikes. That's gross. Let's see if he spots it. 13 seconds. He finds it. Oh, that's going to sting. Let's see if we see a reaction from Bortnik. Reaction, nothing. Doesn't like it, though. Doesn't like it.
and he's down to 10 seconds himself. I mean, he's got to find a move, but he's just dropping a pawn. We know how good Bortnik is in bullet, but Oparin has that 2-second increment to rely on. The king escapes. Oh, James, your idea. G-pawn is going to roll.
He just said, you know, all in, push G5. We're all in, boys.
Oh, rook B3. Apparently the wrong square. Looks completely
Where else
normal
would
to
you
my
go?
eyes.
Rook A3? That's crazy. Okay.
Here comes D2, rook B2, knight C4, and then the rook moves away. He actually gives up D3 to get G6. James, I feel like black should be in charge here, but one mistake could change it from an advantage to an equal game.
100% here. Of course, you may even see something with a material imbalance, like bishop takes B5, and rook takes, and then we just take the draw here.
Such a good call. Such a good call by Eugene. I wasn't even looking in that direction, but bishop takes b5. You get both pawns off the board, and now rook c3 check is what the idea is. And that's why Oparin is not pushing his pawns yet. He wants to make sure that there's no sacrifice.
Taking the draw here? That might be it. No? Okay.
I think Oparin wants more, but knight e5, he's worried about f4. Instead, the pawns are pushed. No, this looks good for black all of a sudden, but no time.
Oh, f4? Oh, it doesn't work because check. Bishop e2.
But f4 now. Get that pawn going. That's going to be the decoy.
They're correct. We need to use this pawn here. There it is, played.
James, I think the reason why it's so easy for black is that this knight is such a thorn, and it goes to the dark squares, and white can't deal with it. So rook d8, king e4, and the f pawn, it does get a little bit closer. It's actually easy to push that pawn.
Where do we go with the king first, though? Maybe just go back one? I went king f3, but that does allow, yeah, king d4 and push. We're pushing as well. Who's faster?
That pawn is stuck. Oh, knight d4 and knight d8.
He spots it instantly. Wait. Oh, he takes. Yeah, that's over.
Yeah, no, you can even take this bishop, right? Rook e8 takes the bishop, and you have two pawns, and they're just going.
Man, the prep. Darn it. The Joe Baba boys are down 1-0-1 today. That's okay.
Yeah, the Jabal London, it feisty opening, but
today.
Oparin, I'm serious, James. He's one of the best prepared players on the entire planet. It's why he works with Fabiano Caruana, and he showcased some great prep.
Yo, I'm not even gonna lie, that's some of the best prep I've ever seen. I went to the file, he played it down to the, what move is this? This is, well, okay, this is, you know, it's still early, like to move 12, 13. But yeah, he was prepped and he played it very fast, very, very quick. And even a move not even covered in the course. Like, he plays something different. Knight takes G3, which is an obvious move. But still, he played it very fast, very impressive today in this game.
Oh, so this is actually getting tricky. The rook check here, he wanted the king to take, because rook c6 would have won the rook here. He's in this annoying pin, and he needs to find a way out. 2 seconds, he plays c2, the knight hangs with check, and if king c5, there was rook d5 or something like that?
And he's winning the endgame because the king's cut off. Devoretsky, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Rook takes.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Oh my gosh.
Wait, what happened? What
It's checkmate on e8. It was checkmate on e8.
Oh my goodness.
And now the rook is stopping. It's going to be a draw. Bishop takes pawn.
Whoa.
Just take both the... Oh, why did you take the pawn?
What is he doing? You take the pawns. Oh my goodness. Oh my, I can't believe it. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's a mouse slip or I don't know what happened.
No,
That's
James,
crazy.
I think it was just a complete meltdown. And I mean, if we just go back a few turns here, as Oparin somehow survives, sun is on his face, and his chest was shining early, James, but at the end there, right at this moment, I mean, this is, if you give Bortnik just 10 more seconds, he takes the first pawn, and once it's captured, he takes the second, and then they shake hands.
It's
just a draw.
And then it's over, yeah. Wow.
I don't even know what to say, James. Like,
yeah, that was crazy.
Was he somehow like thinking he needs to go for a checkmate? But either way, Oparin, he steals that game in the end, and he's up 1-0. He'll get white in the second game. I think Bortnik's in massive trouble, James, as are some of the other players, because we see that Jose Martinez, better known as Jospin, he beat Benjamin Bach with black. That puts Benjamin on notice. And the other players, Levon, Wesley, Min, they all won with white, so at least their opponents get that first move advantage in the second game.
Yeah, of course, when you get that win, man, it's just tough because there's a 2-game match. Literally anything can happen. You have to be sharp, like scary things happen here. Look at Bach locked in. I gotta be locked in. It's a lot on the line here. Men hype, ready to go, right? So that one win and that half a point is all they need to win the match for today. So a lot of pressure on the players.
Oh, and you could see Bortnik. I mean, look at him. He's like talking about what could have been, but that's in the past at this point. For Bortnik, he is going to be upset about not taking those pawns off. But James, we had some really nice games from players, and I think we could look at how Levon sealed the deal there, because we looked at how aggressive he was. He loves winning against these setups, and the final position, James, it got kind of ugly at the end. Like he just delivered a checkmate. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it on the other screen there. Yeah, pretty rough, man. Hey, the French is a hard game to play, guys. Okay, that was ridiculous. This is 2 days in a row that he's done this to the French defense. So if you collect data, what would you say there, Robert?
I would say if I'm Vachier, you just have to avoid the types of positions where you're struggling for space. And he did go for the queen side. And actually, at this point, I just want to take us back a little bit. Like, Vachier was fighting, and after the rook lift, black is much worse here still. But here was the final, I think, mistake, because if black had instead played knight d8, you are holding everything together, right, James? Like, you stop e6 pawn pushes, you make sure that there are no easy avenues, though this rook h3, pawn h5, it still looks scary. But, like, for the moment, you just have to just get into, like, a shell. But I think, James, the ultimate answer to your question is that against Levon Aronian, who knows what to do? Because he's such a vicious attacker. And look what he did at the Olympiad, James. He got a silver medal both for his team and individually.
He did, in fact, and even in that first game where he was losing to the lower-rated player with the black pieces there, crazy game, down a piece, found a way to mate him. Who does it? LeBron Aronian.
I mean, look, I'm just going to go through the last 3 moves. Just like check, e6, giving up this pawn. He says, have that pawn. When you lose pawns, you open files. Here comes a rook to e1. The king gets out of check, and then the queen comes in. I mean, James, every move was with purpose, and that's checkmate. And black was already lost, so the question mark is harsh. But LeBron Aronian, as you call him, he flexed those muscles.
Absolutely flexed very hard there, as he's going to be now, just cruising. I mean, really, okay, you can't, obviously, the match is not over. You definitely can make some mistakes and get them back into the game when you go into Armageddon. But half a point away is much closer. Now you just have to get the job done by staying consistent and doing the same thing. To play for a draw or to play for a win is playing for a draw, right? They say if you need a draw, play for a win. That's what they say, so.
Indeed, and I'm going to just quickly go over the min game, because look at the final position. I mean, this is gross. This bishop is trapped. This king is getting checkmated. The queen is offside. The rook isn't helping out. Min won a miniature. He just crushed David Anton.
What was the opening choice? In fact, he usually uses a London a lot in Rapid, but I'm just curious if he used London against David in this game.
He actually went c4, which is surprising to me, because as you said, he usually goes for Londons, and he did extremely well yesterday with the London. But we got a Queen's Gambit accepted, and just to fast forward a bunch, we're getting through the just typical moves. Now we can see some trades. It's a quiet position. But where things start getting a bit adventurous is at this moment where this bishop stares towards the black king. You might get a little worried. Still, nothing major happening yet. And then around here, knight g5. We're live, James. He is just trying to trade on his own terms and get his knight to a more active square.
Knight g5, and we live for sure. That was very nasty. After bishop takes, knight takes c4. What happened after this? h6. Like oh my goodness, bishop c3. Hey man, you gotta chill, bro. Breathe. Oh my goodness.
He says, take my knight.
Wow.
I can even take this, but bishop d4 apparently is best. The queen is kicked away from the bishop, and okay, Min just sees everything.
Yeah, he just snapped. He snapped in that game. And one person, I mean, his tactics are insane, but he plays more positional chess, which I've noticed. But if he sees it, it's there, and you let him get on the road with some tactics, you're probably not coming back from that. So very sharp player here, and did great in the Olympiad as well. So he is on fire.
Min is in form, on fire, as you said. He is coming up with great tactics in his games. And look at him here. He's having a wonderful time with all those queens behind him.
Yeah, right. Of course, we know him from the hair twirling championship, in fact, as he will play and he will twirl his hair. If you've probably seen that yesterday, guys, when he's locked in. And one place you don't want to be is when he's locked in twirling his hair. And you got to sit there and watch that. That could be a scary sight there, because that man's cooking up something diabolical.
And we are going to see what the players uncork in this second game of the match. Whoa. Levon is taking a lesson out of Hikaru's book in the purple board, second from the left, because this has become all the rage. And I'm ever so quickly going to take us back. Look at this. This is what, James, you just wrote a book. You published a book, and you tell
I did.
kids, don't play like this, because
I did.
Queen E2, you lose the game.
Yeah. And then they're like, psych! Well, you can try this. I mean, but then you got to know all the theory to it. And this is a very funky opening because black can get initiative so fast. Like there's some sample lines where the bishop gets trapped and stuff. But yeah, now it's just an equal game. Oh, all of this is happening right now?
Yeah, Levon played this in the Olympiad from the white side against Bu Zhangji. They ended up making a draw, but this is exactly how Bu played from the black side, and Levon learned from him.
Oh, yeah. And now it's just very equal. Like, you're going to have to make a bad blunder here to lose the game. Very equal, both sides. No knights in the center. I mean, you go c6, king c7, develop the bishop, rooks to the center, and, shuffle, wait for a mistake or obviously improve your position and waiting for a mistake from white if that happens. If it doesn't, then we have a draw here. And, GG's, I go on to the next match, says Levon.
And the most frustrating thing, if you're Vachier Lagrave, is in order to beat these top players, you often want to catch them in an opening they don't know very well. You don't want to grind out an endgame because they're higher rated, they're more experienced, they have just frankly played better under most situations. So this is not the type of position in a must-win game that Vachier Lagrave wants.
Yeah, it's far from it. You want imbalances, you want tactics, things where you have some initiative here. I mean, this is just going to be a very, very long game. It's not good for a player to need in a must-win situation. Yeah, great position, cool. Any other situation, but here, must-win. This is going to be very, very difficult for Vachier.
Okay, so let's back out of this one. There's really nothing too much happening. Both kings in the center, and we see just pretty much an equal game thus far. But if we look at all the matches at once, and then we'll make it easier for us to pick a specific game. We have lots of different colors in front of us. James, when you look at these boards, I'm just going to guess. I was going to ask you, but then I just figured the game that's between David Anton and Min Lei, that seems like there are some attacking chances, and I feel like the board in green is the one that may be the one you like the most so far.
Yeah, that's the one. Exactly. I was looking at that one. That one's very sharp, of course. He did just trade, so it's a little bit less sharp now, but it definitely has some attacking chances still with bishop g5 to f6s. I'm taking white all day here. You just feel, you can feel the attack brewing here.
Well, Nolan and I, we felt your might when we played in the Hand and Brain against you and Danny, and you just brought that rook lift and just went and checkmated us. There's already a rook on e4, so I know you like to lift, but James, come on, this rook should be making you happy.
Of course, yeah, that's a heavy rook right there. Make sure you're lifting it home there. The rook is doing some heavy lifting, and do you even rook lift? Is what they like to say these days. So that rook is definitely a ultra lifted. We want to go to g4, h4, not really f4, but next to moves here. I'm curious why he's allowing bishop g5. I mean, obviously he has something up his sleeve, but bishop g5, maybe he was going to rook d. No, you can't go rook d2. So yeah, I just like bishop g5. Immediately hit the rook, and then you get the bishop into f6, and you can sack it at some point. Maybe sacrifice is almost there right now. His queen takes h6, but even getting to the rook to f6, like all these ideas are so fired here, but I think he's doing a great job defending. Min is a tactician. He can defend very, very, very well.
I actually want to bring up an analysis board because I had the same question that you did, and it's an important one. That a moment ago, why white couldn't play bishop g5? This rook is, you think it's going to move, say, to d5 or somewhere active, d7, I don't know, somewhere. And then bishop f6. This is actually winning for white.
It's winning, right? So I don't understand. Well, Min got him shook a little bit. Maybe.
Oh my gosh. The best way to defend is not just to curl up in a ball. F5, we are live.
What?
And James, the point
You're
is
kidding.
The point is after ef6, queen takes e4 with a back rank check.
If Min would have played this, man, listen. You know what? I'll be shook. I'll be immediately shook. F5, he probably was going to play that. He probably was going to play that. That's scary. And that's a very scary Min.
Wow, what a find by him. I was wondering the same thing you asked. And now bishop back to c1. So this is a creative way of getting this rook involved and going after the black king. So even though the engine, James, suggests the position is a relatively level, this is the type of game that David Anton, of course he wanted this from the white side. He has some good ambitions. He can play for a win.
Yeah. He wants to play for a win here, so you need to have chances to. There's the F5. Yeah, he had it in his sleeve, bro. He had it in the bag, ready to go. That's exactly what that was. Insane fine for Min, bro.
Yeah, he just twirled that one out. You see him on camera, as you said. We love Min here on the broadcast. Such a nice guy who is a great streamer. So if you don't already follow him, give wonderful time. That's his actually Chess.com username. Is that also his Twitch username, or is it just?
It's it's oh shoot, no, it's GM Melee, correct? Yeah, because I rated him a lot. Yeah, GM Melee.
Yeah. I just, for me, Chess.com usernames and Twitch handles, they all just merge together. So this position, I think Min, he's doing okay. He will have a worse endgame, so that's something to consider long term, that if all the pieces come off except for the king and the pawns, White should have a winning king and pawn endgame because you're essentially up a pawn on the f-file. But for the time being, Black is active, holding everything together. So why don't we zoom out of this game specifically and look at what's happening across the other boards, because Min just needs a draw. Benjamin Bach all the way to the right in the orange board. He needs to win with Black, and hey, he's got a fighting game. And then Wesley So all the way to the left against Mukhidin Madaminov there, James. I mean, that looks like a spicy position. What are all these double pawns? I mean, what are we looking at?
Yeah,
with
what
Wesley
is that?
and Mukhidin?
Let's look at that game. How do you even do that? This is like, is this art or chess? You know what I mean? Like, this is, what are we really doing here?
But like, what kind of art is this? It's just like the Pollock splat on the canvas.
Abstract splat. 7 million. What? 7 million? American? No, bro. No, you lost your mind.
Well, James, the pawn structure looks bad for White. We can acknowledge that. But Black only has 5 pawns, and White has 7. So there are 2 extra pawns on this board for Madaminov here. And Wesley, we know he likes solid play, but if you poke the bear, he's ready for a full-fledged fight. So what do you make of the dynamics here? Madaminov needs to win, so at least he has winning chances.
Yeah, if I need to win, I'm taking White, because it feels like I obviously have the G file, which is you can use, and just attacking 101, King H1, Rook G1. You may need to go Rook G3 because F3 is a little weak, or Rook G2 to try to block, obviously any checks. Put the bishop on B2, double the rooks, and push everything on that side of the board. That's just how you go for mate. But you also need to keep pieces, so you have to be careful, because knight D6 was nice, because Wesley understands, I get rid of that knight. Attacking is going to be easy to defend that whole attack, especially on the G file with an easy G6. So, he moves away. Knight G3 makes total sense. So King H1, Rook G1, Rook G2, maybe Bishop E2, double the rooks, play Knight H5. Go for mate.
I like it. James, you're always on the offensive, and for Madaminov, he needs to win this game. A draw will eliminate him from Division 1 contention, but put him down in Division 2. He'll, of course, be happy that he got that far, because you see the big names who didn't, Fabiano Caruana and others, Jan Krzysztof Duda, they're not competing for Division 1 just because of how tough the Swiss is. So I think Wesley, he can try to control this board a little bit. I would probably bring my rook to B8 and get that annoying queen out of here. Like, that's bothering me.
You're right, Robert. Immediately.
They get this knight around, right? Knight B5, knight D4, try to take over key central squares. White is 2 pawns ahead, though, James. I don't think Black is going to at least even up the material anytime soon.
Yeah, that's actually strange to think about. I didn't even think about how many the pawns he's up. I didn't even count them, really, because of the realistic of them actually being something to use. The double D pawns are gross. They do say a pawn is a pawn. I'm a pawn, which, could, at the end game, trade everything off. We could use them. But until then, they are nasty double pawns. I do like the F ones more than the D double pawns, because I can use this G file. And he plays Bishop E2, very nice. With Bishop E5 idea, maybe.
Yeah, and if that pawn on E5 falls, the bishop is attacking it. Rook can take on B4, but then we're trading, and White is 2 pawns ahead. They may not be the prettiest pawns, but they don't need to be. They just have to be defended and start pushing at the right moment. But what's funny about this trade is that White's 2 extra pawns are right here, and they are just bad pieces. But instead, Wesley is playing for a solid position from the Black side. Knight B5 given a question mark, and I think it deserves one, because now White can play A4 and B5, and those pawns are rolling forward.
Oh, that's a great idea there. A4, knight D4, bishop takes. You have to take with the pawn. So that's a crazy structure, by the way, with those pawns on the D file. But then you have B5, and now we do have those extra pawns you talked about, where those really come into play, especially as we have less pieces on the board. Maybe I don't have to attack you anymore. Let's trade, go to an endgame where I have the extra pawns. That is crazy there. Rook C1 played.
Still a good move, and it just saying this knight is now needed to defend the bishop on c7, so be careful not to blunder. This bishop needs to stay protecting the attacked e5 pawn, and your knight f5 at any moment could be in the card. So I'm starting to like White's position more and more. Wesley, he's making small mistakes, but they have pretty sizable consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as you see, White's pieces are starting to aim towards that side of the board. A quick, that's two moves: King H1, Rook G1, and we looking to move right into Black's position with Knight F5 or H5, G pawn, a little loose there. Like, there are some huge possibilities here for nasty attacks.
Okay, so Wesley, he's going to use his time wisely. He needs to figure out a strategy to stave off some of the pressure. He is down multiple pawns. So let's go back to our 5-board view, because some of the games, they're going well for the player, like Madaminov, who needs a win, but others are not. Min Lei, James, that's your guy. And with the black pieces, Min is playing so well right now. He is on fire after the Olympiad, and he stole a pawn. He brought his queen back. And I think the queen trade is forced with Min up a pawn into the endgame. Yeah,
his endgame is immaculate. I mean, it's very flashy, very good. Magnus-esque, as you'll see sometimes. As he just likes, he'll play the most quietest positions, and he play it very good. And I'm like, wow, you see that, with Magnus a lot. But he plays very, very these boring positions. But if you tactically blunder something, he's going to spot it, like that F5 he did in the game. And so it's hard because you're facing a guy that's brilliant at tactics, but also is, the same in positional chess. So the guy is just an absolute menace on both sides of the board and both sides of the spectrum, in terms of style. So really strong stuff. He tactically was able to find his way out of things. I grab a pawn here. Now I can convert this in-game easy. I'm comfortable with these slow positions.
And he only needs a draw. So with that in mind, queen takes queen, trade, rook f8, forcing all the pieces off the board. You're never going to lose this if you're Min. So I know he might be winning, but he plays rook f8, so similar idea. But this is the best thing to do. When you only need a draw, just trade off the pieces like this, because White has no winning chances with the queen and the rook's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And having the extra pawn as well. I mean, if you lose this, I'm just, I'm done for chess. I'm done with chess. Now, of course, it happens. Up a pawn, in-game. King e2, yeah. Just trade queens, move the king to the center. It is double pawn, but it's still a pawn.
Just trade, yeah. You can't lose this position. I don't even know how you would if you just bring your king right up to e6. White will try to push the king side. That's good for him, but as long as you don't blunder, this should be a draw for Min Lei. So we can trust him with the technique, as you said. He's not just a great tactical player, he is phenomenal in the endgame. He's leaving the tension between the queens, so if White ever takes, you take back here, and this is what I would do for sure if I'm David Anton. Queen g4 is the only way. Keeping the queens on, hoping that Black blunders h6. I don't like that Min left the queens on the board this long.
Yeah, that could be a backfire, because there's a lot of loose light squares, but King f7 was a brilliant move. Queen d7, wait a second, hold on. That's kind of annoying. He's just allowing this check. Like, you have to do it, but maybe just bishop e7.
Yes, because c7 may drop, but so will h5. It's just a pawn trade, not one for one on the same side of the board, but it's still a trade nonetheless. So yeah, Min is doing well. Let's trust him. If something changes, we will alert everybody. But let's zoom out once more just to see if any of the other games are looking good for the player who needs to win their game. And we see Bortnik on the board in red. It's a messy position. By the way, Vasif Durabeli and Levon Aronian, that one looks level, deep into the endgame. That's board in purple, second from the left. But why don't we check in on Bortnik, because he played the Jabawa London. It didn't work out for him. But now with the black pieces in a must-win game, James, this is the type of position you want. You just have a messy one where black is currently up a pawn.
And I have a passed a pawn too as well. Passed pawns must be pushed, as they say. So very strong pawn there. We put the rook maybe on a8, but man, there's a lot of things. Like, you're right. It's just, there's a lot to watch out for. It feels like a little mess here. A lot of things going on in the center. I gotta be careful because my dark squares are weak. I don't really see how you could exploit them, but dark squares are weak for black. And a strong bishop on g2 versus my bad one on c6 level. But as time is lower, things are going to shake up here. A lot of things can happen.
Yeah, and the evaluation is only slightly in well, actually it just grew as soon as I was trying to end that sentence, but black is only a bit better, one pawn better. So if you trade too much, we could get into an endgame where white is just, rook and 5 versus rook and 4, things like that, where maybe there are drawing chances. But queen c3 somehow not considered best. I think your point, though, James, is very well taken, that if black just says, oh, I'm going to do nothing, I'm going to just try to nurse my extra pawn, then if this knight could get to g4, then there will be problems in the dark squares.
And there's a route, a knight e2, f4, h3, and to g5. No, wait, that's going to be... I was like, wait, how do we get there? Don't see a route there yet. There's just not a route there yet. But queen e5, so we have, what, rook a1 possible. c1 allows knight a2, so you gotta be careful. Queen a1's a move. That's strange.
Queen a1, that's a funny move for sure. Like, just go to the corner and then try to unpin your knight. Yeah, black, I think, is hanging on to the extra pawn well. And I just want to quickly alert everybody, if we can go back to our view of all the matches, that a couple games are about to end. And we see that LeBron Aronian in the purple board, second from the left, he is now winning because Vachier couldn't accept the draw. He would have been eliminated anyway. So Levon is on everything right. And then David Anton is losing against Min Lei because the endgame is just an extra pawn for black, and it's an outside pass pawn. So no huge surprises there, James, but I'm looking as well all the way to the right. What is happening in Jose Martinez against Benjamin Bach there? That looks crazy.
Oh, there's two pawns over there. These pawns. And then there's pawns in the center. Oh, yeah, we got to go to that one. There's pawns everywhere.
Wait, is some side up material? No, it's 6 pawns to 6 pawns, 3 minor pieces. It's equal material somehow.
I could have swore someone had to be down something. Equal material. There is. Wow. Take. I guess we could trade everything out, but then he has a pass B, but I got a pass C. Who's faster there? Probably black. Wow, man. Insane.
Yeah, James, your point is really a good one, and that's why Jose dropped the knight back. If white had taken on c6, black would have taken on b3, and the outside pass pawn looks more dangerous. So that's why he brings the knight back. And here's a big question, James. Can you play b3 and just keep those pawns rolling? There are 2 outside dangerous pass pawns.
These are very dangerous. Maybe after b3, I might have queen c4. Take, and I do win e5, but I mean, those pawns are like vicious, man. They get to the third rank. It's like, what is it equal to? What would they say? Equal to a rook on the third rank or something? Something like that. But it's like insane when they get that close. So I don't know. B3 is a strong move, and it should be considered.
Yeah, I mean, if you move the knight, I think white is playing c6 automatic. The e5 pawn can be captured, but c6, c7 with this fork down here. And based on the clock, James, it does look like Jose has this, because I'm worried with Benjamin Bach just getting down to 1 minute 20. He won't have enough time to calculate.
He finds b3, though. He plays it. Very obvious move. It's like, yeah, b3. He goes for queen c4. Here we go. And I think he's going to run right into that c6 move. c6 is nice because bishop d6, we just take and play c7, queening somehow. So where do you move the knight then? Oh, you don't move the knight.
Oh, brilliancy. Yeah, that is definitely a Bach brilliancy here, because if the knight is captured, just take back. And you're saying James, what did you say? A pawn on the 3rd rank or the 6th rank is worth about like a rook. He's saying it's worth a knight here.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you get both those pawns there like that, I think that's from my system, one of them books. But, so many chess books. But one of them talks about get them pawns that close. It's very, very scary. So equivalent to a rook here. And he said, yeah, go ahead, take the knight. Have at it, buddy. Wow, that was a sick move from Bach. He will find him.
So is white going to do the same thing? Black gives up a knight here. Should white give up the knight for this pawn? I am scared of these outside passers.
I am too as well. I mean, there's e5 is hanging there, and maybe I could go knight c4. I think I have time. Like, let's say we take on c6, we take on a3, we take on d8, and then we go, but the rook is not there in time. Oh, and he plays rook c3. I was trying to go rook b1 in there and play knight e5, knight c4, but it's just too many moves.
So look at Jose going right after these pawns. If a2 is played, the white rook slides to a1, and the knight on c4 is the hero, stopping that second pawn from getting all the way down in front of promotion square. So this is very tense right now. Now Bach under a minute. James, that's what I've been most worried about, that even if he's playing great moves, if he doesn't have time to calculate at a critical moment, how is he going to continue this?
That is correct. Bach is very nice in bullet chess, but he doesn't play it as much as you would see, Jose Martinez or Danya that plays a consistent bullet also on the weekends too as well with the bullet brawls and etc. So Bach doesn't play them as much, and he does talk about him being slower too as well. As time gets lower, you make those mistakes. As we see, he's starting to consolidate, and these pawns are not looking too sharp anymore.
No, the pawn on b3 actually cannot be defended. Knight c2 was the threat. Knight c2 covered by the white's last turn. So retreating moves often difficult to find. Not here, just stopping black's one threat. And with that threat gone, James, if b3 falls, a2 will fall in just a matter of time. Whoa, why'd he take it?
He played. Wow. Yeah, I don't understand. I guess he didn't like c5 hanging, but no, wait, b4 hangs. Oh yeah, he just missed that.
That's what I was thinking, right? The c5 pawn couldn't be captured because the knight on b4 was loose, and now rook takes b3. So he protected e5, but down goes b3, and that should be that.
Yikes! And Bach having 3 seconds here. We have the 2-second increment, so yeah, it's not looking good. Time. I'm down to pawns now. Head shake there from Bach.
Yeah, he's got no time, and a draw is a match victory for Jose. So he can just try to trade all the pieces and move like knight d3. Comes to mind, let's just trade them all off. Come on, just get rid of all these pawns. But for Jose, he's doing the right thing. A lot of people say, my opponent's 3 seconds, flag him. There's a 2-second increment, right? So you get 2 seconds with every move played. Benjamin will not lose on time.
Yeah, he's not going to lose on time. Especially that 2-second increment makes everything different, boys and girls. So yeah, tough for Bach here. He was playing good here. He found the moves, and then time trouble, as it does for all of us, makes you make mistakes there.
And look at Bach making moves with 1 second. He gives up an exchange on c5. I think you could just take it, but you can also take this a2 pawn. You're spoiled for choice.
Yeah, a2 hits that knight too as well. It's kind of annoying. That's clean. Take. Oh. Step away.
And white's just up in exchange, isn't he?
Yeah. Hard to lose this one.
Okay, so Jose, he is going to win this match, it looks like. I'm looking at Wesley So's game as well. They both have no time, so I'm going to click on that one because Wesley, he has been outplaying his opponent, and there is... Wait, is it checkmate in 1? Yeah, it's checkmate in 1.
I thought it was white's move. I'm like, yo, king f3, bro. You got to get out of there.
That's what I thought. I was like, wait, where's... it's black to move. Queen to d1. White just trying to create space. But James, look at this. The king is just entombed here because of all of these pawns and the queen.
Those same stupid pawns. Oh, man. That's annoying. Those stupid pawns. They look great, but then they were my demise.
Well, they didn't help out. Here we have that game where Bortnick's been up and outside past pawn, but it's stopped in its tracks, and James bishop takes e6. There will be an immediate draw for white.
And I don't even have any good moves with this knight.
Whoa. Knight d8.
Yeah. He said no good moves, right? We have no good moves for this knight. And so he plays knight d8. Yeah.
Queen takes e4. Oh, the a pawn is still stopped. And 0.6 seconds when he went queen d2.
He found, this is... tough. Still equal. But we don't need equal.
It's one of these positions, James, where either side can blunder, but you're right. White needs to win this game.
Dang,
Black,
did I just lose the knight?
Black
How was I
needs to win.
defending? Oh. Yeah.
Oh.
That's it.
So that means Oparin. He is going to sail through in this match because he's going to win both games. He wins by resignation. What a performance by him.
Came very prepared today, very solid against Bortnick. I mean, you usually don't see it. Bortnick is extremely strong. They all are. I mean, they both are, and all the players, right? But no, definitely Bortnick, I think, may have been a slight favorite there. But as we said before, don't sleep on Oparin. A lot of people don't talk about him, but he was able to take down Bortnick today in this match.
Yeah, great job by him. And in this matchup between two popular streamers, it looks like Jose Martinez, Jospim, he is going to move on and have one match to determine if he makes it to the top division or if he falls down to Division 2, because Black needs to win this game. A draw wouldn't do anything for him, and you're down in exchange and dropping your pawns down.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't blunder a fork here, but King and Rook are too far away.
So this is definitely going to be a win for Jose Martinez. And this knight might just get trapped in the next couple turns. King e2. Knight can slide away, and it does get out to h4. This knight is a little tricky, but here comes the rook.
Yeah, the rook. Yeah, that's it. And then bring the king around, and that's it.
That is game. King f... Oh, he drops the rook this way. Didn't matter. That is going to be resignation for Bach. And James, what a match from Jose.
Yeah, Jose has been just performing at a very, very high level lately. Even Title Tuesdays, just winning things, especially even having a Title Tuesday where he was able to take down, I think, Magnus, Hikaru, and someone else. I had to go back and look at all the games. I just was like, well, I have to see these games. He plays so good, and here it's definitely showing again here. Bach had a great game, but wasn't able to convert. And congrats to Jose.
And you see Bach, he steps away, and you see the final scores. What's interesting is usually in these matches, we get to an Armageddon because these are all strong Grandmasters vying for that top division. But no Armageddon to be found here, James. It's just clean 2-0 sweeps.
Yeah, 2-0s everywhere, of course. And a lot of times, especially when you see that you have to play for a win, and when you lose the first one, you play a little riskier, or I have to go for this, or, draw doesn't cut it. And where a draw would be okay in other games, but here, not cutting it here. You got to win, right? And now, of course, they have an even bigger feat now after winning this first set of matches.
And well, I mean, these games, they've been a lot of fun, James. I still think of the games that we've seen thus far, the favorite in my eyes was still LeBron's. I'm calling him LeBron. It's like not even intentional. It just now is stuck in my head. LeBron's first game, Levon Aronian against Vaseev Durabeli, because I mean the way he played that, it just ended so quickly because when you have these dynamics, I think it's a good teaching lesson where bishop takes h7 is on offer and knight coming in to follow. You're going right after the black king. That this decision by Vaseev to take the knight on f1, that's game changing. It changed the entire match, in fact, because with this bishop gone, after bishop takes f1, he took back with the king. If you play a move like h6, this would work out if your bishop was on a6, but not anymore because the queen comes up to d3, threatening checkmate. The usual way to stop that checkmate is pawn to g6, but here the h6 pawn would drop right away, so it would be a pawn blunder. And if you try to get cheeky with a little sacrifice of your own, I'm not going to take your rook right away. First, I will take on e7. Your queen is under attack. You have to react. Your rook is also loose. If you try to protect, you lose your other rook. So black is actually losing material. The best decision would be rook takes pawn, and then queen takes bishop. But black is down a rook for a knight and one pawn. Not enough in terms of compensation. So I think the most instructive moment, just once more, is here after bishop g5. Black should have started with pawn to h6. I'm not saying the position is easy because white will just move this bishop back and may try to, at some point, line up a sacrifice on h6, but still, black has such great activity down the c-file with the rook, with the knight and bishop over here, so this would have kept Vaseev in the game. He made one quick decision of taking on f1. After the king took, he then took on g5, and he didn't believe in white's attack, but it was indeed vicious. The knight joined the party. The queen was next up to d2. Only moves found by Levon, but queen to f4, that is what the biggest problem was. This king cannot successfully escape if the king came to g6. As James was showing before, g4 is winning, h5 check is winning. Give up pawns to open lines. Here comes a rook lift and a check over here. The black king is just being quickly hunted. So to me, this still was the game of the early matches here. James, I think it was perfectly in your style because Levon Aronian, he becomes LeBron when you have the call.
Wheel, man, and he will show us as he's a vicious attacker. Definitely check out his games if you haven't. And a great showing here. 2 days in a row too as well after, the same thing happened in a different type of game. That is parental advisory. Don't show that game around kids. That one was even crazier yesterday than this one we saw today from LeBron. So awesome job.
Well, Levon is scary when he's in form. And you know what else is supposed to be scary, but isn't always, depends on the costume? It's Halloween. So if you ever wanted to dress like a king without needing a crown, or like, why am I reading this? Come on, let's just look at this Mean Girls quote on the screen here. If you didn't know this was Mean Girls, you gotta go set that up. Go watch that movie. It's a classic. It's like 20 years since that began, but you can get some chess-themed costumes. Visit chess.com/shop to get the party started. I know, James, you are a king. We're gonna head to a break because when we return, we will be back with King James Canty and myself, Robert Hess, more from the match play in the Julius Baer Generation Cup here in the Champions Chess Tour.
My name is Wesley Saw, and I play chess.
Wesley So strikes first.
The game is Wesley's. It's all over.
Lights out.
The magic continues.
Wow.
Oh my God, what a finale.
And that's it. I was born originally in the Philippines in a small fishing village in Bacoor, Cavite. We were relatively poor, but I was always a very happy child, I would say we were really living paycheck to paycheck when I was young. It was a struggle, but I didn't understand it back then. It just showed me the importance of working hard and, saving for the future. My biological father, he bought a chessboard when I was young. It was just a really small chess that, he just bought it randomly. And then he taught me and my sister the moves. I was pretty much hooked right away. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old when he first taught me the game. My father was a pretty decent chess player, so it took me a while to beat him. After I beat him, I started looking around for stronger people. And that's basically how it started. So I played in 2001, the Philippine age group under 10. But I remember I suffered a terrible loss, a terrible game. And after that, I was so disheartened that I stopped chess for maybe 6 months. And I thought I was going to quit chess forever. But one day when I was walking in our neighborhood, I saw some of my neighbors playing chess. And that sparked that interest again that drove me towards the game. 2003 was a big year for me because I won the under 10 Philippine age group. So I became basically the best 9-year-old in the country. And then I also won the Shell Championship for under 14. And that was a big inspiration for me because coming from a relatively poor family, it shows that now I can win some money playing chess. And also I can travel abroad like to Europe. Like this was unimaginable at the time for a small, young, poor kid to go to Greece. I've always been interested in geography and maps. I think this is one of my birthday presents from a few years ago. And the pins show the places I've been to. I think I've been in 90 countries or something. But really most of the tournaments are here in the US or in Europe. Our favorite country is Norway. Also my sister's favorite country. We usually go there every year. I got my GM title in December of 2007 at 14. Which was good enough back then to be 7th youngest ever. I think I could have gotten earlier, but then I made some big blunder in the last round of a tournament in 2006. So then I didn't get it, and I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. But it was definitely a big deal and gave me some small ideas to become a chess professional. As they always say, it's chess that chooses you. It's not the person that chooses chess. Like, I don't know anyone in their right mind who would want to become a professional chess player. But all the top players start young. They just enjoy the game. And then they keep improving and improving. And suddenly becomes a career.
Welcome back to the Julius Baer Generation Cup, the fourth and final leg of the Champions Chess Tour. James, we have a special announcement. Are you ready for it?
We have an announcement. Oh, okay. Well, what is it? We're hype over here. Chat wants to hear.
Well, while you were just away for the break, we have fresh off the press a special announcement about the Champions Chess Tour Finals. This is the fourth leg. If you win it, you make your way to the finals. We already have some names that we know will go there. The finals will be live in Oslo, Norway, December 17th to 21st. The top 8 players from this year's CCT will face off in front of a live audience. You heard that right, a live audience. In Oslo, Norway. Already confirmed are the likes of Magnus, Alireza Firouzja, Jan Nepomsky, and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Who will join them? Will you join them? That's what we want to find out. For info on how you can attend the live final in Oslo, Norway, keep your eye on Chess.com next week for ticketing info. James, the Speed Chess Championship with the live audience, it was so fun. How awesome will it be in Oslo for the CCT finals?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for it. Of course, those live finals. It's nothing like the live finals because the fans are there. You're there hanging out with the fans. You're having a great time. They're having a great time. The energy is just different, right? And we're bringing that here in chess now, which is amazing.
It for sure will be awesome. And we already know some of the names: Magnus Carlsen, Alireza Firouzja, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And, well, who else is fighting for those spots? Because those three, they won their legs. And we will see who will win the Julius Baer Generation Cup and get their ticket booked to Oslo, Norway, December 17th to 21st. We do have Jan Nepomsky as somebody who secured his placement, so we know that he will be in Oslo as well. James, he's very familiar to the fans. He was in the World Championship, 2 of them in a row. He didn't quite make it for a 3rd time, but he's an absolute beast, and he will be in the CCT final.
It's awesome. He's a beast. He's a superstar. He won candidates 2 times in a row. I mean, do you have to say anything else? That's crazy, right? Now, of course, still working to get a WCC, belt, basically win a world championship here. But he is an absolute beast. We all know him down on the cheese. So it's gonna be awesome to see him there. Look at him, fierce and fearless over the board as he stares into your eyes and crushes your soul.
Well, Jan Nepomsky, one of the quickest players on the planet. It doesn't matter the time control, including classical. And somebody else who just played a great first match, he would like to secure his place in the final. He was there a year ago, Wesley So. James, no matter what he plays in, remember, he won the Chess.com Global Championship. He beat Hikaru Nakamura along the way. Last year, he just got out of the gates, such a hot start. He won that Armageddon game against Magnus Carlsen. We know that Wesley, he can get it done, but the question is, will he get that job done today and make it to Division 1?
Yeah, Flexley, so when he's in form, it's really hard to beat him. In fact, we know that he's the most precise chess player on Chess.com. In fact, he has some of the statistics say that too as well. I mean, super strong here, and when he's in great form, especially coming off that Olympiad, which he is, it's going to be very hard to take him down.
And we see here Wesley, if he gets 5th in Division 1 or 2nd in Division 2, doesn't matter what anyone else does, he will be in Oslo, Norway with some of you fans who are watching. So chat, keep an eye on this space. Watch out for Chess.com's announcements and watch out for the names that you just see here because, James, the players, they, in the top 5, get to choose from the other 5 who they want to play in this next match. Let's reveal the pairings because it hurts your feelings when you're the first person picked. But Fedoseev, he got top pick. He picked his very good friend, Grigory Oparin, whereas Jan Nepomsky, he picked Jose Martinez. Magnus picked Min Lei, and then Vidit and Arjun, they were the last 2 to choose. Vidit picks Levon Aronian. Arjun is left with Wesley So. It's unfortunate that you're left with those 2 super GMs, but now we have some great matches ahead.
Oh, we definitely have some great matches ahead, at 100%. And I think with Arjun right now, I think being world 3 or 4, he's like, all right, cool, I'm the big dog here right now. So he really is playing his greatest chess. So as India is going crazy, especially after winning the Olympiad there with Vidit too as well. So they're in great form, but we just saw what LeBron Aronian did, especially with the white pieces. That man is very diabolical and dangerous. Be very, very scared. But also at the same time, Vidit, as you see on the screen here, has done his thing, held it down in the Olympiad here, of course, and winning for the team. And he's always very, very sharp. So it's going to be something, a master feat to see for sure.
And Vidit Gujrathi, Arjun, they just met the Prime Minister of India celebrating their Olympiad gold. And
Crazy.
here you see Fedoseev. We had him on for an interview yesterday. He seemed very happy and surprised that he took down the Swiss. He beat Wesley with black. And James, he beat Magnus with black in the Olympiad. So Fedoseev, he is playing some of the best chess in recent weeks.
Yeah, I would feel like that too. If I beat Magnus in any format and he beat him in a classical game with the black pieces, listen, he like, right now, I'm him. I'm big fish, I'm big him right now is his name, of course, on Chess.com, because he's feeling it. He's feeling really good here. He heard that too. You see the little smirk. He's like, yeah, Kenti, you ready? Kenti, but okay, I'm with the Chris. So he's doing very good, So shout out to him, and hopefully good luck to him in this match as well.
His reactions actually make it seem like he is listening, but Min Lei, he doesn't need to listen to us to play great chess. He won a medal at the Olympiad for his board. He represented Vietnam proudly, and he's at his peak rating over the board. So he actually is in the best form of his life. The way he played at the Olympiad was superb. And James, we've seen so many of his games. We know that he could take down the best in the game, but he's playing Magnus Carlsen in the next match.
Oh, yeah, he just lost the match. What's that Speeches Championship, I think? Where he paired maybe first round or something, and Magnus, I think, ended up winning by a 10 at the end or something. Maybe I forgot what the margin was, but he's like, all right, cool. Hey, you won a Speeches Championship. This is a little different here. I am playing Magnus, so you have to be realistic. I got to just play my best game. And right now, Min is in his best form on paper, 100%, everything he's been doing, right? So he wants to bring it. Obviously, the Magnus give him his best game, and of course, as the greats say, play your best game and see what happens.
So it's Min versus him, because Magnus Carlsen is him, at least according to some of his Twitter posts. But Magnus is the #1 rated player in the world. Here he is. He looks bright in the background. And, well, he already has made his way through to the Champions Chess Tour finals. He doesn't need this result. But he'll be playing from Oslo, Norway. I think that's a bit familiar to him.
He's at the home setup, which is, you always want to be a home field advantage. And I think one thing that's home field advantage that we all see Magnus do is like, he snacks a lot. And that's, at home, guys, it's good. It's okay, to feed your brain here and have the snacks. He always has something healthy going, or eating something right before the match. So, it says something there. He wants to have that energy for to kick in when he may need it the most. Shout out to Magnus.
Okay, well, we are seeing the moves on the boards here. I always love this scene, and we have some great matchups. We have Magnus Carlsen in the middle against Min Lei. That's on the red board. We're starting with a bishop's opening from Magnus. And what is that going on? Jan Nepomsky playing in English. That's the purple board. On the blue board all the way to the left, we've got some weird, like, Nimzo-looking thing. Or it's kind of a delayed Londoner. I don't even know what I'm looking at on the left. But what I'm really looking at now is no moves from Vidit or Levon, but we saw they're both here. And then all the way to the right, Arjun against Wesley. We're spoiled. James, should we start with Magnus? Because that's always a good place to start.
Always a great place to start. Let's do it.
Okay, so in we go. We are looking at Magnus Carlsen against Min Lei. When they played in the Speed Chess Championship, Min did not win a single game, James. The games he did win were by disconnect. So Magnus punished him in that format. But there's more time on the clocks now, and that usually helps the higher rated player in Magnus. But in a 2-game little match here, anything can happen.
That's correct. Anything can happen. You have to start strong here. Play your best, obviously, and take your chances where they are. Don't take many risks. It depends. But, hey, you got to play your best because you're playing Magnus. It's not really like, oh, here's the match strategy. Here's his stat. Like, no, bro, you're playing Magnus. Like, bring your absolute best game. Try to take the chances where you can. And maybe even try to get Magnus out of something he isn't familiar with, but he's familiar with everything. So, what do you even do there? But play your best game. That's what we see men doing so far right now. Everything seems level, developing pieces, principles. Magnus moving quick, though.
Magnus is moving very, very quickly, and you see what he's done. He's secured himself a beautiful outpost on b5. The bishop sits back on b8. And I know that dynamically black is okay in these positions, but I usually feel uncomfortable, James, when my rooks will not connect on the back rank there. I can't kick this knight out of b5. Whoa! I wasn't expecting castling queenside, but Magnus is showing no fear.
He's saying you can't break through this. This is and that's crazy that he is correct. It's hard to break through. You would want something like d5 or d4, but all of those, you can even play b5. I have a4 and b5 on lock. d4, I can always play c4 if I need to really lock down all the files and diagonals that you would need to attack my king. On the other hand here, I'm able to attack you as a King's Indian fashion, as you like to shut down the queen side. before going for the King's Indian all-out attack. So it seems like Magnus is able to do that here, but plays rook to e1, really again maybe putting pressure on the e5 pawn.
Wow. I mean, I'm not used to seeing the queenside castle when you put a pawn on a4, but it makes perfect sense because the queenside is locked. There will not be pawn tension. And what do rooks need? They need open files. How do you get open files? You trade some pawns. The rook on a8 is useless in an attack, and white is just focusing his energy on the center. h6 played, James, this bishop, it can slide back. It can go back to g3 and put even more pressure, maximum pressure on the black center. And whew, it's exploding now. d4 played.
Yeah, d4. And I was thinking, I mean, if you go c4 here, that is the worst bishop on the board. Boy, so you might have to go bishop takes first and then play c4. It does make some weaknesses around the king, but probably a good sign here. You don't want to open anything up for Min here.
So great move by Min Lei, pawn to d4, just trying to get some activity of his own. He's just going to sit and wait. Min is really in the best form of his life. His Olympiad was a resounding success. He had Vietnam on the top boards, and of course Lam Lei on board 1 for that squad. I mean, he certainly helped. Trong Sun on board 2. So those three were such a force, an unexpected one. And speaking of unexpected things, just a slide over, no trades yet. Magnus just brings his queen to c2 to protect his bishop. He does not want to activate more black's pieces.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't like anything with rook e6, which is totally understandable here. I didn't want to open anything up. So if I'm black here, I want to go d takes c3 at the very minimum, just to open things up at this time.
I guess Magnus will take back with the pawn. This knight on c6 would happily hop forward if that pawn on c3 didn't exist. That pawn 3 squares away. Oop, not to d5, but to b4 and to d4. It covers these very critical squares. So why don't we take a moment. Let's go back out to our view of the other games. We will give a ton of attention to the #1 player in the world, Magnus Carlsen. But as we look at the other games here, what is happening elsewhere? Nothing too sharp, but I guess Vidit versus Levon, James, that one looks like a lot of fun. Levon says, I can crush the French when I play from the white side. Why don't I try it myself with black? It looks like
Bro,
it's going to be a good time.
Is that what he did? No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, he did. He played the French after smacking it the way that he did. I would be so far away from that opening because I would be scared of the same thing happening to me. Wow.
Well, he played the French. He brought his bishop out early. That's why the bishop's wrapped around to b6. And the black king went to f8. Some people probably like, why did you not castle? What's your king doing there? You typically do not want to play a move like g6 because that exposes all the dark squares, right? You see all these dark squares, everybody. This bishop on c1 will happily just get active and control them. So that's why the king slid to f8. Not the worst thing. h5 in the future, James. We know that black can play in this way, but Levon also likes to play for f6. He wants to break down white's control of the center.
Yeah, the one thing about the French that I do know is that it is a cagey opening. So there are ways that you can play it dynamically, quite aggressively, as we see, Levon trying to actually, like you said, playing moves like f6, which is played right now, in fact. But this is the most dynamic way of playing. King is looking crazy on f8. Like, you have to develop the pieces. It's cagey. It's fighting. And sometimes you even see, believe it or not, a g5. Not here in this position. It's knight g5, but a g5 is very possible. I mean, it might even be playable after knight takes and then go knight e5. Like, yo, that's some crazy stuff. But it is possible, and you see that a lot in the French lines.
That's exactly right, James. G5 is one of these moves that look impossible because there's a pin down the F line, but the E5 pawn, it's not just about attacking the queen, it's about distracting white's forces from the defense of that pawn. So you're right, G5 might even be the response to the best move. You see bishop B2, it's the only move that keeps the dynamic balance here. Black is up a pawn, but black's king is on F8. White is trying to finish the development and attack this pawn on D4, but G5 I think is the optimal reply, and it's a hard move to stop.
Yeah, it's tough. Maybe h4, but then black is able to try to break up e5. He plays bishop b2. g5 may be coming. Let's see what he does, though.
g5, knight takes e5. This is just messy over here.
That's crazy, right?
But Levon, he chose to fight, right? He played this French defense, so he wants to have some kind of feisty-looking position where there are chances for both.
Yeah, that's correct. As you choose a French to play it in a cagey type of way here. You can play positionally too, but you can really kind of play almost any opening with some aggression to it. So, as we know, Levon likes sharp positions, so he's going for that right now. There it is, g5 on the board.
We live, James. Yeah, we're live.
We live.
That's
He
nice.
said, go ahead, take it.
Yeah, he said, you can have that pawn on g5. I want the center. Give me that control. And let's see how quickly he replies here. Whoa.
Oh, he played a6. You need to chill, big dog. What is he doing? That was so nice. The in-between dweeb.
Oh my gosh, he put a6 because if knight takes d4, we see all sorts of pieces get traded down here. Bishop takes, queen takes, and then the knight on g5 is loose. So yeah, I'm doing the takes arrows. I'm not trying to just copy Hikaru, but that is the actual plan here. The calculation is in the center, and a6, what a move, James. We both were looking at knight takes e5.
Yeah, and now I guess he has to go knight d6. And if knight d6, then maybe knight takes e5. It might be his idea, but that is a sick move. a6 is a shocker anyway. I don't think Vidit was even expecting a6. I think no one was expecting a6. That was a crazy move. Knight d6, now knight takes e5 play, maybe forcing a knight c8. And the pieces are active. Wow.
And this knight, James, it also covers f7, so no funny business for those white knights. Knight c8, queen takes c8, you protect the e6 pawn. You also threaten down to c2. So this is getting quite sharp. And you see Vidit, he's concentrated right now. But Levon, he says, I have no fear in these setups. He's been playing the French throughout this qualifier.
I don't even know Levon. That's crazy. He's playing French throughout the qualifier. Yeah, French does get bad rap, but sometimes you have some positions like this where you have to rethink. Wait, is this the French? Yes, very cagey opening, very fighting. But of course, as you can see, it can go very, very bad. As you saw Levon today and yesterday, really demolishing the French defense from the white side.
So Levon, he likes these positions with either color. He is that flexible. And Vidit, he is deep in the think tank trying to figure out, after knight takes c8, queen takes back, what to do here. Is he going to castle queenside? That's one of the essential questions. I can't, because I don't really see anything else, dude. You could take on d4, but after things started getting traded in the center here, it does seem like black is going to complete the development, and then black controls the center, and white just doesn't really have the cover on key squares.
Yeah, castle queenside seems very good. We need to develop some pieces. I mean, we just need to get the rest of these pieces on castle queenside. What else can we do? Yikes, he has a nice center. Black has a very nice center, especially if pieces start coming off. You get the F pawn, E pawn, both double D pawns here, so it's good. I don't know, I think we have to start with castle or bishop d4.
Don't try this at home if you don't feel confident with your king in the center as black and pawns not really close in front of it. So this is a risky choice from Levon Aronian, but he is playing extremely well. Why don't we zoom out of this one, go perhaps just check out some of the other matchups. This is best of 4 now. So instead of you lose first game, you immediately have to win, you get a little bit more time to recover. And I'm looking at Arjun Erigaisi because he just met Prime Minister Modi. All the way to the right-hand side, he's facing Wesley So. And that's what happens when you get to pick last. You unfortunately are faced with the toughest opponent. And actually, meanwhile, on the red board, James, it looks like Magnus Carlsen has a fork going on, knight hitting both rooks. So he should take down Min Lei in this first game. But yeah, that one looks quite straightforward. So I just want to quickly check on Arjun against Wesley because Arjun has sacrificed a piece, but can he go for checkmate? That's the big question right now.
That sucks because it looks like there's nothing. After he blocks, you might have to take on h7, but there's nothing. And Wesley So is a very solid defender, or as they like to say, Wesley So solid, but also Flexley So as well. Like, his man is very good at defending. Right? And this, I feel like I'm running out of pieces, which means I need to grab some pawns. 3 pawns on the queen side, I'm not getting. I can grab that 1 on h7. That might be it.
How in the world is that move? I mean, bishop f6 looks very natural. It gives your king some more space to run away if it gets checked. And after queen takes h7, this knight will take the bishop on b2. So I think that you don't want to give away this bishop for this knight. So you might take first. But then when we see the capture on h7, white doesn't have a follow-up. Too many pieces are getting traded, James. So where is Arjun's attack?
That's exactly right. Yeah, where is the question? He's looking for that same thing. Trade, and I mean, knight c3 is going to be nothing. You're just down a piece here. We do need to get some pawns for it. It's not easy. I mean, queen h7, you can grab one, but I just go like king f7 maybe, or even anything, really, in that sense. The knight on a4 is not in the game as well. So pretty bad. I wonder where did he sacrifice his piece? Can we go back to C? How did this happen? This
I'll bring
seems
up the
quite easy for Wesley.
analysis board here, and we see knight e5 was played. Black went knight to d7 to trade the knights and get access to d3. And Arjun says, yeah, we're not trading. Knight takes f7. So objectively, a potentially dubious sacrifice, but maybe practically in a rapid chess game, he kicks the knight out, he went queen h5, and James, he was relying on some kind of queen d5 check with the knight being loose down here.
That's nice.
The knight on d3, by the way, queen f1, it looks like this picks up your knight, but knight f6. So maybe there was something that Arjun overlooked, tactically speaking, because that knight is not going to be won by white.
Dang, there was nothing with that check. King f8. And there's no bishop g7 either. Like, if oh man, like you could go bishop g7, rook f1, rook f7, right? But it's just not there.
Yeah, you would need that rook very quickly in. So instead we see knight, bishop f6, excuse me, and bishop a1. I love moves like that because my instinct is when you're attacking, you have to just start capturing things. But he's actually keeping the pressure. King g8 now is a clear blunder. Queen d5 check, picks up this knight on d3. So h7 is still hanging, and h6 would be my first thought. How do I keep my pawn on the board? But maybe white goes like queen to g6 and queen to h7 anyway, and it gets very complicated.
I like that. Complications is what you like. And now we can get the knight c3 coming with knight d5 or knight e4. And you still, you can't go king g8 because of queen d5. So you have to answer this. Also, the rook is currently in the corner. I remember hearing a long time ago from someone that was like, yeah, you may be up a piece, but where is that piece? And that piece could, is it active? Where is it? Now, of course, we can say the rook in the corner is, we can kind of use that as the piece being down, but it is, it's just not active. So you're playing with one less piece, even though you're up a piece. So it helps us if we can get the attack fast with knight c3 and into e4.
And look at the time. So he does play h6, does Wesley. The evaluation doesn't change that much. And queen f5, for some reason, is the square to go to. And maybe it's because it keeps e5 under control. You think that you put a knight on e5, but white will take it with the bishop. And then once the other knight takes back, you then take that knight because the bishop on f6 is pinned. So queen f5 is more precise than queen g6. I get that now.
Oh, yeah, because 95. Wow, okay, queen f5 hits the knight. He goes knight c3. That was practical. Like, I want to go knight e4. Oh, queen e8. Oh, that's so annoying. Stupid engine finds everything so fast. Like, queen e8. Ugh. Gross.
That's not the end of the story. I see why queen e8 is good, but after queen f5, the knight comes back to e5, and then, as you pointed out, knight into d5. Oh, wrong move, apparently. Your idea, James. Knight d5.
Here it comes. Just bring the pieces into the game, and it's working. Queen e8 was probably with enough time. Wesley finds it.
Yeah, he's nervous because he can save this current position. If you spend 2+ minutes finding the best move here, he won't have enough time for the remaining 15 moves. The attack is going to continue. And James, after knight to d5 here, I wonder what Wesley's response is going to be because this knight on e5 is hanging. There's a pin on the f-file. Knight takes f6 will really hurt. You'll have to take back with the g-pawn. Wesley's going to have to figure this out quickly.
I think he's going to go knight f7. After knight d5, knight f7, we trade everything, and weirdly enough, the knight defends h6, so it's temporary. Maybe we take and then play queen g6 after taking twice. I take queen g6, possible. And he plays it, knight f7 on the board. So now takes, and exactly, queen g6.
I like that, James. That looks really powerful. Oh, I like that move too. Here comes e5.
e4.
Oh.
Man, e4 to e5.
Uh-oh. Now Wesley's in trouble. If you ask me, James, with 2.5 minutes, I'd much prefer to be the side that's attacking than the side that's trying to defend.
Vicious attacker here. e5 followed by e6 and e7. Just push the pawn. Just push it. Just push it all the way down. You can play e7 with the queen f7 threat still there as well. What a pawn.
I don't easily see a move for black. e5, maybe there's knight takes e5 because the queen will stare at the knight on d5 in some of these positions. So there might be a thing or two to figure out for white before you push the pawn. But look at Wesley. He's using much of his remaining time just trying to find a single move here. James, what are your move candidates for black?
I was looking at queen e8, but at the very least, I'm forking with knight c7. At the very least, right? If I have nothing else, I'm going there. But I can also take on f6. I still could probably even play e5. Like There's just so many moves. So Queen E8 out of the question. King G. Oh my goodness, that don't even sound right. King G8. Can't even do that. Like, this is nasty. What do you play? What is the? It says equal. The engine's lost his mind. Like,
okay, I'm gonna check.
No.
Oh
like
my goodness, you ready for this, James?
I'm not ready for this. What is it?
Rook C8. What?
Rook C8. Just Rook C8. Do nothing.
What?
Do nothing.
What is Rook
about?
C8? If Wesley So plays Rook C8, like I'm just gonna be in complete disbelief. I was gonna say I'll quit, but then people will hold me to it, so I won't quit on the spot. But Rook C8, are you kidding me?
No, he got the chip in his in his brain. If that happens, Rook C8, he got the chip. He got the chip. Rook C8, Rook C6, I guess, but E5. Yeah, Queen E8. Human move, bro. Human move 100% of the time. That's crazy.
Queen E8 played. I guess Knight C7. He's gonna take on E4 and just claim your knight in the corner will be captured by my queen here. I'll get 2 minor pieces for the rook. That seems reasonable, but the computer's starting to like white's position. Maybe you just start taking on F6.
Okay.
Maybe
all right, so you like taking now? He plays Queen F5, gives it right back to him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what is that about? 'Cause Queen F5, he wants some kind of Queen H7 and infiltration, but now this bishop took on. Uh-oh. Wait, what is Arjun's plan?
Knight C7, maybe? Knight C7.
This bishop can always save itself, which is useful, because if you don't get the knight back on from A8, at least the bishop survives.
Yeah, check and then King H1 and then Queen E7. I take the rook. I mean, okay, like, yeah, it's nothing there. Wow. They're both getting long time, so that makes sense. Okay.
And we do have a couple results, by the way. Fedoseev and Oparin, those good friends they drew. Nepo and Martinez, Jose, he holds a draw. So a half-half score in both those two. Magnus still in great shape. And Vidit, it looks like Vidit is doing very well against Levon Aronian. Suddenly it's Levon's king that is quite exposed. But let's stay here just because Wesley, he has been thinking, he's been fighting tenaciously, and these are best of 4 matches. So even if we don't get to this round, we will, of course, tune into those matches in the next few. But this looks actually really bad for White all of a sudden. Is he trying to make a draw now?
Oh, yeah, that's tough. What do you play? Okay, Knight C7, yes, that's the only thing.
Are we going to see a repetition? Black only has 30 seconds left, so I could see him accepting that and saying, I hell with Black, it's a job well done. I wonder, because if I'm Wesley, I would think about Bishop D4 check, because that restarts the counter. It's a different position, so he won't have a 3-time repetition just yet. But now that he's getting down to 20 seconds, he needs to be very careful.
There it is, King H1, and then Queen E. Oh, maybe we do just draw. All right, get out of there. Let's get out of there, man. This is crazy.
Is there a way to play on? Boys. Can you play Rook E8 and like Knight takes, Rook takes with 3 pieces for a queen?
No, okay, he said no. They ain't gonna repeat. There it is.
Okay. Well, Black actually had G6. Look at this. G6 is the
Bro, stop. What does that even do? Okay, Queen takes. What happens? Oh, you have Queen H6. Oh my God.
Queen takes and it wants Knight E5 because if you take on H6 with check with this here, the Black King just escapes away and the Queen is under attack and Black's up 2 pieces. This is ridiculous stuff.
No, that's gross because you can't go Queen H8 because King moves. Yeah,
everything.
Not at this time, bro. Like not at this time.
He said, no, next game, we'll figure that out later. A draw is good enough. And, well, right here between Magnus Carlsen and Min Lei, Magnus has 2 rooks. Black only has 1, but they're 2 minor pieces. So, James, the pawns, that's what Magnus is relying on. Get those pawns going. But he just gave up F2, and that gives Black a passer in the center.
Yeah, we have, oh, man. But he does have some counterplay, but that pawn is guarded by the rook on A1. Like, we're fine. We just push the pawns. C5, D5, D6.
Look at Magnus. He's just saying, whatever, you take that pawn, take G4 as well, but Rook B7 is a game-ending threat because I don't think Black can afford to trade the rooks there, as then the pawn lands on the 7th, and this bishop will just be kicked around a bit with the rook coming through. So James, 30 seconds from Min. Can he find a way to at least keep this game going?
Yeah, that's tough. If the G pawn was gone, okay, I'm just pushing them boys into oblivion. Push the F and the E.
Yeah, just start throwing those pawns.
But yeah, it's separated. It's very good.
And look at the clock. Min is getting very low on time. Oh, he's twirling his hair. He plays bishop f4. He's staying alive for the moment, but a7, what's the problem with just pushing the pawn?
He gets behind the pawn first. Very nice. And then push. I can take the pawn, though.
Okay, the black king.
Yeah, makes sense.
This h-pawn, though, James, that could be very annoying to deal with. That pawn is running quite quickly, and if you don't stop it, then white is going to have a hard time dealing with one passer and then maybe a second later.
That's actually what he's doing right now. Is there a rook? No, he has king g6. Wow. Rook. Have to get behind the pawn. We knew that, but then there may be something with a h6 square, bishop. Okay, he went there instead. h3 can be played, so we do have it on lock. So maybe we can push.
But is black going to go king g6 and then try to get that pawn going? So I'm with you. I think c5 looks right, but black is ready to kick that rook out from h7.
We got some calc here. Wow. Brings the king up, has to move the rook. Men with chances.
Yeah, it says it's equal all of a sudden, but who's actually better? This h2 move, rook g1, not possible. h2 still, hitting the rook and then trying to get a queen. So I think that Magnus is the one who needs to be careful right now.
Wait, I would say push knight. Oh, you can keep pushing. You can keep pushing. Knight to f2. You play c7. You sack the rook, and then you play maybe rook b8. Very possible. Or even try to push the third pawn too, the d pawn too as well at some point.
Yeah, d5 makes a lot of sense. He plays c7. That's captured quickly.
Take. And then push, and rook c8 if possible.
And this king can also join the party, right? He's trying to keep the knight away. These knights are just such clumsy pieces.
Yeah, especially when they're far away from the action like this. It takes a while, guys, to come back with some checks. Could bring the king in some more. Oh, this is like Devereski page 573 in the back of the book. Boy, it's tough.
D6,
oh,
king e6, d7.
D7.
Yeah, rook c8's a game-ending threat.
With the rook c8 idea, yeah.
Here it comes. How is Ming to stop? He's at 8. Oh, he makes the wrong move. He is in such time trouble. And rook c8 now is what's going to win Magnus the game.
Yeah, that's it. That's so funny. Like, I saw this idea after knight c7, which was nice. A knight of 2. But, yeah, Magnus is able to clinch this in no time here. Check king. Well, there's knight g6 now.
King c3. He goes king d8, wrong square.
That doesn't make any sense.
But both players have no time. So rook c8, if you take with the knight, you promote. Yeah. Look at this tactical motif.
Beautiful. Queen and GG. Okay, fighting. He got the pawn. Oh, this is back in the book for real.
The table base says that this is a win for white, and here at this point is actually getting easier and easier because the black king will not be able to keep this pawn. And okay, now that when this pawn drops, these players, they know how to win queen versus rook. You're just gonna push the king closer to the edge of the board, and the rook will have to leave somewhere where you can check and pick it off.
That's it. That's all it's about here. It's just edging closer. As you see, he's getting the king closer. Now, king d6 is going to be rook d7. So exactly, queen b5. Very beautiful move there. That was a very important move. I think queen a6. Well, queen c6 works too.
You just want to avoid any sort of pin or a stalemate. So look to see how many squares the black king has. And king c6 now is the threat.
There it is. Queen a5 does it. And this is GG. And you should be able to pick off the rook within 2 moves or so. Depending on what happens.
Queen b6. You got rook b7. And now king c6. Oh. Same idea. Just from the different part of the board.
GG.
And now you should be able to check and get to b1, right? You see this down here?
Exactly.
The black king can't step to the c8 square because queen f8's mate, and here it comes. The queen is just going to either give a check here or back like this, and Min resigned.
And Magnus with a smirk there. Min's like, come on, man. Come on.
Well, look at this. What is going on here? There is so much craziness happening in these matches. Vidit apparently winning because of Levon's last move. This is a little fork.
Oh, dang. Head shake. That's an instant reason. You can resign. Hit the button. Dang. French is, bro. That's 3 losses in a row with the French today, guys. So I don't know who's a French player in chat, but I'm just saying. 3 losses in a row from the French defense today, boys.
and Vidit Gujrathi. I mean, look at this guy, so determined. He helped lead India to a team gold at the Olympiad. He just had to skip out on the Gashima Memorial so he could fly back to India to meet the Prime Minister. And now he takes down Levon Aronian in what was a very sharp game 1. So we have all the results in, James. 3 draws, Wesley and Arjun. That was a huge fight where Wesley, he did have some chances, but he didn't have enough time. And the other 2 games, those were drawn quite early. And that leaves us with 2 winners, Vidit and Magnus.
Oh, man. Of course, it's always good to start off with a win. Now, this is not a 2-game match, so it's not a must-win, but you do want to get on the board here, or even stop the bleeding type thing, as you do have a chance to come back here. A little bit longer battle, 4 games, 2 whites, 2 blacks here. You got to make the best of what you have.
And we see the players reacting, stretching, some of them enjoying what just happened more than others. And Min, he look at him. He was like, what? Come on, I was so close.
Come on.
But, James, you can't be close against Magnus. You have to be nearly perfect.
Yeah, right. Even Magnus's head shake, right? Loved it there, but I mean, you gotta give it to Min, playing very well there too as well. A lot of the psychology is at play too as well. From losing to Magnus many times, SEC, you might doubt yourself and move sometimes, but it's tough. You got to keep fighting. Got more games left.
And let's take a look at that game between Vidit and Levon in a little bit more detail. I think the players, they get a bit of a breather. And we saw the ending, so I just want to revisit how this game concluded because, James, it was about level. I don't really regard the engine very closely here because it's easier to play for white. Your rook is attacking all of black's pawns. I think that white actually wins this game most of the time. But Levon's move, James, it ended the game in 1 turn.
Rook takes b5. It's not live. In fact, it's just not a move there as it immediately forks there. Definitely time trouble was a thing, but I mean, easier said than done. Both b7 and h7 pawns were about to fall there. I need to grab a pawn. This knight's not doing a lot of work, so it's kind of easier said than done to take his pawn on b5.
Yeah, if we just go back, knight f4 check, I'm just going to see what it says. King c3, knight d5 back. So that makes sense. Just trying to go back and forth over here. And if the white king decide to slide elsewhere, like back to d2, away, rook takes b5, you take one of these pawns, but then you're going to lose the c5 pawn. So I do get why this was still within drawing range. But with 5 seconds on your clock, James, these mistakes happen.
Yeah, it's time, as we like to say, is another piece there, right? 17th piece. So you have to understand, guys, that time control is very important here. You may see it, you may not see it, but with that time there, it makes the best of us, makes fools of us all, especially when you're low on time here. But he was trying to make a comeback for the French, because he crushed the French the first 2 games, played it himself, had a great position actually, and then was not able to convert into time trouble here. So 3-0 for white players against the French today.
And let's pull up the Magnus versus Min finale, just because we watched Min. He felt like he should have had a half point somewhere, but it was around here where white still had some winning chances. Black actually had to leave the A pawn. And rook d8, if the rook came to c8, James, rook takes d7 is check. We see that black would win this game. That becomes clear. But it also helps us understand better why white had to play king c3 instead of king d3.
Oh my goodness.
Because now all these ideas, you still play rook c8, and now there's no rook takes d7 with check.
Man, I'm going to see that today in Puzzle Rush when we stream tonight. Like, I'm so hyped for that end game. That is brilliant. Like, you have to go king c3 because of the check on d7. Man, chess is fascinating, that's especially in games.
And I think the engine doesn't suffer from the horizon effect. It says that the best decision, it always says +2, but it's exactly what happened in the game. Rook c8, let's say you get this whole thing again, queen, you have to take down here at some point, and then we get this. Now it shows that it's winning. So after you actually make the moves, it shows that white is winning. But if you get to this point, it says, no, it's only +2. But as soon as you get limited material, it shows, psh, game over.
No, that's great. That was awesome. I mean, showing, especially afterwards too, as well, as fast as Magnus was able to convert this to show you that this is a win and how to do it by bringing the king and queen closer together, first winning the pawn, bringing the king and queen over to a certain point where the rook is going to be separated from the king and rook, or the rook's going to be separated from the king, and then you obviously win by 4 king.
Yep, just the pawn went down, you forced the king to the edge, as Magnus did quite quickly, and then as we saw in the game, Min resigned before he lost his rook, because after this check, as I show with the arrows, the black king accepts the A file, but back and forth we go, or if you stay on the 8th rank, queen to g8 picks off h7. So great win for Magnus Carlsen. He needed that, gets off to a good start. Min, you could see that he was frustrated. He knew that he was so close. Close, as we say, is never good enough against Magnus. So the second game of these matches are about to get underway. You see Magnus getting some hydration. Now he gets the black pieces, and Min, he seems like he needs to calm down.
Yeah, it's tough because he played him in the Sweet Chess Championship there not too long ago, right? So you still have that. You never forget that. You're also playing Magnus. And, if you weren't playing Magnus, you just kind of play different chess. That's just how it goes. In fact, all the players say it too as well. Something about the sight there of you playing Magnus really gets to you. So you have to calm down, say, you know what, let's play my game, and we see what happens.
And we're looking at some Sicilians on the game between Jose Martinez and Jan Nepomniachtchi in purple. We're seeing some slower moves come in on the right-hand side, Levon against Vidit and Wesley against Arjun. So we actually have look at the same position on both boards. We'll see if it continues that way. It depends on how Wesley So is feeling all the way to the right.
That's the same moves to A5, okay, D3, D6. Okay, so it's a little bit separate.
And why don't we just stay on the scene for a moment, just until we get a little bit more clarity. In the board in red, Magnus Carlsen saying, I'm going to play against your compromised pawn structure, those double C pawns. And White's going to say, thank you, I have the bishop pair. Don't mind if I do. So that could be sharp. And Levon against Vidit. James, that's been all the rage on the board in green. Will Vidit play G7 to G5? That's the real question in this type of position.
That is the standard, too. You play G5, knight around to H5 and F4. Even castle and go King G7 with the pawns extended like that. So it is possible, but it looks like it shows a little bit something different. Queen E7, still possible to go G5.
Okay, so we're not seeing any intense decisions that need to be made just yet. We have all sorts of different ideas that are going to be available to the players, and nothing major yet. But if we look at Levon against Vidit, we do see that Vidit, he's playing quickly, he's playing quite confidently, and as we see Bishop D7 on the board here, he is ready to castle queenside in some positions. But James, we know just because you castle your king, it doesn't mean it's safe. White can even sacrifice a pawn with B4 at any moment and try to rip the queenside open.
Ooh, that would be nice. That's exactly up our alley, especially Levon as well. You just do it and think later, right? Sack first, think later. That's what Tao says. So, no. Well, Bishop D7, casting queenside will definitely help us with B4 here. We do want to see a G5 from Vidit. I mean, it's more of a waiting game. It's like, are you going to do it? He's like, yeah, I'm doing it. Are you going to do it? And let's see.
I think now he's definitely going to do it because the white king has committed itself. There's G5, and black in some positions can consider H5, H4, but he castles queenside. All right, James, we're going to have some fun. Oh, he didn't play B4.
He didn't. He's preparing it, I guess, but I mean, it still could be played. Yeah, I guess there's no difference in B4 and Rook B1. Yeah, because B4 is being played anyway. But H5 is a move anyway. H5, knight G5, H4, knight F7, Hg3, and I'm like, mate, is that mate in 7? Like forced, like it's immediate mate coming there. So H5 is one of those moves you see here, but I'm curious what happens on H5. Play H3 or H4? No, I don't think that's gonna be something you want to play. But you might have to.
It doesn't look all that appealing, but maybe H4 is the intended response, just trying to either close down the king set or gain something. You take, I take with my bishop, and there's this annoying pin. So we'll see what Levon has in store. He played Rook B1 last. Will he start with B4? No, it's the other side of the board, just taking care of business there. And James, if you're Vidit, he takes an H4. I was about to say, you have this opportunity to bring your rook to G8, and whose king is less safe? For now, it looks like White's king is in more danger, but White can play B4, and then Black's king might be open.
Yeah, I have to do it now. I don't even know what's going on. Number one is I got to play B4. I got to open up the shop here because I feel like I'm getting mated. I can't go Bishop G3. Rook takes G3 is decisive. So I was about to say maybe King H1, but there are... Okay, yeah, Rook E6, Rook G4 is nice. He's going to double the rooks. He has all the pressure on him right now. But G3 was nice. Nice defensive move by far. That was very strong.
And I guess Levon is thinking about this, how is Black going to remove this? I also have the knight, so there isn't an easy sacrifice on H4, at least not yet. So perhaps Levon has everything controlled on the king side in his mind, and then White is ready to strike with B4 next. So is it time for B4? I feel like we've been asking for this for quite a while. So what's the downside?
There's a very diabolical type of threat that Black can set up here with Bishop E6. No matter what happens, we trade on C4. You go Queen E6, Rook H4, Queen H3. with the idea of course, with knight h4 too, you go rook g3 because the bishop on c5. It's just mate everywhere. Or queen g3. Either or will mate. So this is a nasty combo. b4 has to be played. He played it. Takes, and then maybe bishop b6 and hope for that same setup with bishop b6.
So b4 is on the board, and for Vidit Gujrathi, he would love to get James's idea. And can he get his queen to this h3 square over to the king side? And you just need to find the timing for it. I do think that pawn takes, knight takes b4. It looks scary to me because queen comes to b3, and you're going to increase the attacking chances, and f7 is also in the line of fire. But as soon as you bring more pieces to the queen side, James, you leave your king side hanging. So can white afford to go for a queenside attack, or will he get mated on the king side?
Yeah, it's that's scary. I think it has to take, man. I don't know. Maybe I should go bishop b6. I could.
Okay.
Bishop b6 is the same. They both in the think tank here, though.
I would as well, and we'll leave Vidit to it for the moment because all 5 matches are taking place at the same time. So let's zoom out for a second because Magnus Carlsen, he won the first game against Min Lei. It went down to the wire. It seems like in the board in red, he has great control over the current status here. That looks bad for Min Lei strategically, so I do not envy his position as we still see Vidit thinking the board in green. But James, I think he's in big strategic trouble.
Oh, let me see. Man in strategic trouble there. Let's go to the game. There we go. F6.
What do you make of those double c-pawns?
This reminds me of the Nimzo part. Like you have a Nimzo with the bishop a6 lines. That's actually the a3 Nimzo, where you take on c3. And usually, especially, Magnus is a component, a very good person played this opening, actually, but from the black side. But bishop a6 is the usual. So the bishop on d7 is sort of strange, but it can always be routed to c4. This is, as you mentioned, strategically bad for white with the pawns here and pieces being traded. e5, you have rook e8. You could play f6 too as well, but f6 allows e6. So overall, c4 is going to be very, very weak, which is fun for black. I think black is always favored in these positions.
As you're saying, at some point, even if you take with the queen on e5, queen c5 check is going to be a pain. So I like your first instinct. I think that's correct. Rook a to e8. White will then have to go rook e1 and just take, because this black queen is about to go after all of these weaknesses on the queen side. And if you trade the queens, white could be in some long-term danger as well. So I do like this position for Magnus. And Min, he needs to figure this out. He cannot afford to lose a second game in a row.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot it is match 4, so I was like, dang, 2 you out. But if you lose, you are gonna have to beat Magnus 2 in a row on demand, which is really difficult. So at least draw the game right. That's what we're looking to do. But I like white because we do have some pressure. Like rook e1, e6 can be played. We are kind of pushing here. It is going to take some precision. Now Magnus is very precise, as we do know this. But it is, you prefer to be white because black does have that slight chance of error here. They can allow some chances for white. If we trade pieces, though, Magnus is for favorite, especially with the double C pawns.
It's a really good observation that if all of the heavy pieces stay on, white does have some firepower aiming at the black king. So you do need to be a bit careful. And that's why I think Magnus took. And we're about to see some trades. And here for Magnus, queen c5 doesn't win a queen. It looks like it does, but the white queen can slide back to safety, and the game continues from there. But I just feel like the coordination is in black's favor. The endgames should be better thanks to these bad c-pawns, and guess what? Black has a light square bishop that can go wrap around, as you said, to its typical square on a6.
Yeah, this is up Magnus's alley for sure. I mean, he likes these type of positions. Trade the pieces off. c4 is a clear weakness. Queen d6. What a move here. That's fire. Open the c file just to hit the c pawn? Come on, bro.
That is a Magnus move. I was definitely not looking at that. I was looking at queen c5, check, or queen takes e5. Even queen d8 in some positions, but queen d6, to understand that getting rid of your c-pawn so that the c-file opens up is good for black. What this really demonstrates is that this knight on d4, which looks so powerful, it's controlled by a bishop on d7. So Magnus's understanding is, second to none, and he just says, this is the exchange that benefits me most.
Yeah, that was sick. I love the fact that you can see some in-game magic from Magnus like this. Queen d6 was incredible. Like, he played queen d6, bro. It's just saying that I'm going to, if you take on d6, I open, what is the weakness? The c pawn. I go rook c8, maybe bishop c8 to a6 first in some way, just to get every piece on there. It will take some time, which is annoying. Or rook c8, c7, bishop c8, bishop a6, whatever. Even rook c8, rook c7, double the rooks, bishop c8, bishop a6, then double the rooks. Like you have a clear plan. And then how do you get to the d6 pawn? That will be difficult. Maybe knight d4 to f5, but if you go knight d4, you cut off the connection of the defense to the c pawn. So brilliant from an in-game standpoint here, which is why he didn't trade. He went queen d4.
And yeah, Min understands how bad that endgame can be, so he tries to wrap his knight around and go for pawn to c5 in this type of position, because if he can trade pawns, he is feeling better about his chances. But now, James, what looked like some dynamics in White's favor, they can go in Black's favor, because the White king is actually a bit exposed. There's no f-pawn over there, so there's a lot to figure out for both of these players. Why don't we leave them to it for now? I think that they've handled the last few moves very well. Credit to Min for not taking that queen on d6. He instead backtracks. We'll see if he can survive this, but it's looking good for Magnus Carlsen. But as we look at the other boards and we look at what's going on elsewhere, we know that Vidit and Levon, they've been in the middle of a pretty tense game with, wow, okay, James, the board in the green, b4 was played, it was captured, so Black's a pawn ahead, and he's using your checkmate idea. I think Vidit owes you a little something if he wins this game.
Oh, yeah, I'll see him next week at GCL. I'm going to tell him, hey, look, you took my idea. You owe me dinner, of course. Last year it was nice at the GCL, Global Chess League, so should be seeing him there next week as well. And I will get all credit for that from him in person. So be nice. But no, it is a nice idea he has with this bishop e6. You have to bring that bishop back to c5. We do have to trade on c4, queen e6, rook h4, queen h3, and mate. It is the idea. It's very quick. Whoever gets to the king first in these type of positions wins the game. So that's it.
Oh, and look at this. Bishop takes c4. If the queen takes, there's d5 because there's a pin along the fourth
rank. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's gross. Dang, he missed that. So, okay, pawn takes, but then he goes queen e6. Oh, snap.
Yeah, Vidit is using your idea to perfection, James.
He needs to go d5. Wow, d5 is a move. That's nice. Maybe he wanted this, though, to go queen b5. Yeah, but queen b5 doesn't do anything, though.
Yeah, I was like, can I just do what you've been telling us all along? Can you just bring the queen up and go for that exact checkmate?
Yeah, queen b5, queen e6. I could take on d5. That's an in-between tween. Oh, but no, rook h4 and queen h3. It works every time.
James, you told us how to do it. Come on, you told everybody how to go for it. So,
that's funny.
Queen e6 now. Can you take on e4 first? I don't even think I'd bother with it. Just queen up to e6. Oh, Vidit says I will grab it. Don't mind if I do. But now, at long last, queen e6 will be played.
A little stick and move there. Queen e6. There it is. Queen e6, king h2, rook h4, knight g4. Anyway, I don't know, but king h2 is possible. It is possible.
There's also knight takes e4 if we just want to get greedy. So knight h2 played.
Whoa.
I mean, I'm so tempted to take this bishop.
Tactic senses are tingling. Let me see. Rook takes, queen h3, rook g1, knight g4. Like, are you kidding me? He's not made it? How is he not made it? How?
It's a great question. There might be some kind of f3 pawn push with the queen on c2 defending along the second rank, but it looks incredibly promising for Black.
I mean, really, like, man, look at your chops here. You're like, what? How do I get in there? Rook takes, queen h3, rook g1. He also has f3 anyway, though. So he went rook g6. I understand. It's not there yet, but he's aiming.
He's doing that Vidit thing where he's like, I'm up a pawn, so why should I give away all my pieces? If I can start trading pieces, I have extra material, I'll try to win an endgame. So rook g6, I'm going to get rid of that question mark. I actually think instead of going down a path where there's only one proper sequence that kept you with the advantage, it does seem like Black is doing the right thing, and that's why I'm giving it a star.
Yeah, there we go. Give it a star there. Look at that. See, that's nice. Robert has that ability to change the evaluation of the engine, chat. He has that relationship. It's different. It's different.
Queen h3, James, I think after bishop takes f6, there's like a6 to consider. It is quite a sharp game now.
Yeah, I want to go queen h3, which is a very logical move, but I just don't have a follow-up. Like, I mean, yeah, 95, I understand. I just don't have a follow-up right now with queen h3, which is kind of annoying. Pieces are lined up, but maybe we should have sacrificed. I mean, but it's not there. But if we have nagging pressure probably for the entirety of the game, it's not like a go for it right now type of thing. and immediately win. Sometimes it's like, long-term compensation against the king type thing. Because right now it feels like white might be on the attack in a few modes here.
Yeah, these rooks are staring into nothing, right? These pawns are protected, the bishop is safe. So now white can switch on over to the queen side where the black king resides. And I want to note that Min Lei and Magnus Carlsen, they drew their game. So great defense from Min, but Magnus is probably happy with the result. It gets him closer to overall match victory.
Yeah, there we go. Magnus is like, all right, cool draw. Yeah, who cares? I just need one more win here. And on the other hand, and Min's like, cool, draw, didn't lose, but now I need to get on the board here, which is difficult.
Yes, he does. And I think for Levon in this game, he feels that similar pressure. It's only 1-0, it's best of 4, but if he loses or even if he draws with white, he still trails by a game. Vidit gets white in the third game of the match. So here black is just doing everything, James, to defend. Like no open files for these rooks, every piece defending one another. How can white create these dynamic threats that black's gonna have difficulty dealing with?
That is a good question. I have 2 pieces tied down, so this might just be a shuffle. I can try rook a3 with the idea, or maybe rook a4. Take a rook c4. Rook a3, not the same. Rook a4 to c4 possible. We went queen d3. Sort of the same with a queen check and rook takes a5. Woo-wee. Hold on.
Wow. And there's also check on d8, which is why black's only move is pawn to f6, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a weird check. I wasn't even looking in that direction.
Only move pawn f6? No, that's not happening. Like, you're scared of queen a6 more, than queen d8, feels like. But queen a6 is scary because, you have to step to the d file, it looks like. Maybe you block with the knight.
Oh.
He plays f6. Vidit is out. Yeah, he playing some great chess.
Well, I see the feature chat. Vidit is really emotive. He looks very calm right now, so it's a funny time to make that statement. He just played f6, which allows this queen to infiltrate on a6, and then the black king is just going to run away. That is some calm chess if I've ever seen it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Calm, he has enough time to as well. Usually we see most blunders from Vidit as just commentating on many of his games, watching him play. And this is just normal. A normal reaction is making inaccuracies and blunders in time trouble. He has enough time. If I up on time, found f6 and says, I'm going to run my king to the king side of the board after casting queen side, which is totally normal in these type of ideas when guys or players are attacking each other on opposite sides of the board. So, wow, f6, that was a ferocious defensive move, to be honest, and he is really locked in right now. Great job.
And the threat of queen a6, everyone, is rook takes a5, and the b6 pawn would be pinned if not for the black king stepping forward to defend the queen. So great job by Vidit thus far. Levon, he knows that he needs to find some attacking chances. Otherwise, he's just down 2 pawns, and he's playing without this knight. So this knight would love to be on d5. If that were over there, we'd be talking about how white is about to win this game. But because the knight is back here on h2, it seems like you just don't have enough firepower.
Can you go king g2, knight f1? That's going to be, oof, man. That is a long time. That's very scary, man. But if you can get that going, you might be okay there. You might actually have to sacrifice on h4, but that's mate. So you just have to be very careful here, obviously. Oh, shoot, and this is tough.
Levon down under a minute. Black's next move probably knight to d6, just try to activate some of the pieces. So Levon doesn't know what to do right now, and his time is ticking. And Vidit, he can use the clock after Levon's turn if something gets messy, but I think that Vidit should be thrilled that he's held on, and now his opponent is struggling to find ideas.
And did he play king g2?
He did, yeah, you called it, James.
He's going for it, knight f1. But, okay, knight f1, rook g4. Yeah, that's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. I'm not a fan. But I think he does want to get this knight to d5.
And knight d6, the only move, apparently, for black to keep the status quo, which is dynamic equality. That move looked natural to me, but he might look at the knight on e8 protecting the c7 pawn and not want to move it too badly. But he's up to about 2 minutes on the clock is Vidit. That's the good news for him with a tough defensive task. He's finding every needed move.
Jeez, Vidit is so strong right now, just finding all the engine moves. Rook c6, strong with the double up threat coming.
I'm quickly going to bring us to Arjun Erigaisi against Wesley So, because that game, it looked unclear for a long time. And suddenly, it looks like Arjun Erigaisi checked on G1. I mean, we just caught the rook landing down there. There's Queen E1 next to pick up the rook on D2. So Wesley was holding on, but 2 bad moves in a row have turned this game completely in Arjun's favor.
That was very nice. Arjun is a very sharp player, tactician too as well. Had a game in the Olympiad. I think it was +3 for white. He's playing with the black pieces, sacked a piece somewhere on the queen side of the board, but for a few pawns, and was able to win that game too as well. He loves sharp positions, plays basically everything. Even had a Scandinavian game, So Arjun, very strong player, tactical, and ready to take down Wesley in this game.
Okay, so we'll come back to this afterwards, review it. But let's go back to Levon versus Vidit, because that one is really tense. The last one played by Levon, knight back to F3. I liked your plan, James, of bringing the knight around and forward, but Vidit's been playing great defense, and he's not giving his opponent any avenues in just yet.
Yeah, there's nothing there. Knight D2, I might be able to chop it too as well. Bishop D2. Not really a fan, but if the knight doesn't chop, it is going to B3, So knight D2 to B3, and you have some very diabolical threats. Even knight C5 with a queen A6 type puzzle rush mate looking in there. So it's all kind of things that can happen if that knight gets to that side of the board.
And I think Vidit played another best move with rook to G7, just overprotecting this pawn on C7. That may free the rook up to come to A8 to defend this way. And so the queen comes to C2. Look at this. That pawn is not hanging because of this rook on G7. And now Vidit needs to keep his lead on the clock, James. I think if he continues to find these good defensive moves like rook to D7, Levon's time trouble may be insurmountable.
And now there are some tactics, it seems. There's something brewing here. Something brewing. What is it? What is it?
I'm trying to find some ideas. Like this rook on D7 looks quite loose. Queen G4, he's getting active.
I was going to play bishop F6.
What?
My idea was that bishop F6 at some point. Rook C2 and it's just winning? Listen, nobody's doing this. Like, no.
The only move for white to stay balanced is rook C2.
Yeah,
he missed it. Queen takes E4. The queen trade will favor black now because this knight will take and then can slink back around to a square like C5. Vidit's finding such great defensive moves.
Yeah, he definitely found a great defense here. Now he has the 2 pawns on the queen side, which are past 7 seconds for LeBron Aronian. He's got to move. He's got to move. Only 2-second increment down to 2 seconds. 1 second. Woo, made that move with 1 second.
And now knight C5. That's not even my arrow anymore, but he cuts the rooks off from one another, so the rook on C6 is hanging, and then knight to D3 next, just trying to fork white's pieces.
Yeah, this man played a brilliant game here, literally. I wonder the accuracy of the game.
It's really high for a rapid game. I think over 91% for Vidit thus far, but I mean, how difficult those moves are. It's incredible. And look at this, rook F8. The knight can't move. Rook takes F3 was the threat, and now bring the other rook over, James. This is just barreling down the F-file.
Man, he locked in. He is locked in. Take.
Mm-hmm. And you can take even with the rook, right? Because there's a fork over here, and the 2 pawns should help black win.
Wow. Yeah, it takes. That's it. That's very nice. Very nice from Vidit here. Okay, time is getting low, but this should be fun.
I think what white needs to do is get this knight sacrificed for these pawns over here, and knight takes C5 check. So he's going to go rook C4, keeping the winning chances alive. But James, even rook and bishop versus rook, when you have no time, it's a theoretical draw, but drawing it with no time in your clock is almost impossible.
Yeah, especially with this pawn being a menace right now. We can get back to D3 at some point. Maybe rook D2, though. We'll block that. Rook D2 is also a move. Rook D2 and play B5. B5 immediately. Okay.
Oh, he plays rook D2 and knight C4 played. I think this bishop can be captured and the rook can come to C1. So it's saying that this now should be a draw. And Vidit's got to find some... Oh!
C2. Ooh, heat. We got to go maybe rook something. Check.
Rook C3, but I think the knight... Oh, he doesn't even capture. Yeah, the pawn's going off the board.
Dang, draw. He might be holding. Look at that. LeBron Aronian. Wow, not giving up in the draw.
Amazing play from... Oh, knight B3!
Whoa! No! Oh, my goodness!
Oh, my gosh. He just stole a loss. I mean, Vidit was just playing so well. Oh, and look at him. He can't believe it. He was up a pawn in the endgame. Oh.
What?
Oh my goodness. I mean, Vida did everything right for so long, James, but Levon was a tenacious defender himself and then found the only tactic that would win him a game, converting in the king and pawn endgame.
That is, you know, and the tough thing is you don't have enough time to recover sometimes from the match, like from a game like that. When it happens, you immediately have to, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. You have to go into the next game. Now, at least his level, at least he had a game already, but now, you know, it's reset. He was so close to closing that one out and making a draw at least.
This is the only tied match, Vida against Levon. We see Magnus Carlsen keeping his lead. Arjun gets the job done against Wesley So with black. Jan Nepomniachtchi wins with black, so does Fedoseev. So the black pieces did very well, and it could have been 4 wins if Vidit Gujrathi could have converted, but no, just when he had to acquiesce to a draw, he allows Levon to trade off pieces into a winning king and pawn endgame. That was just unexpected, James.
LeBron erroneous and never count him out, right? So like the chase down block when the game winner's on the line, and the chase down block from behind from LeBron there. That was insane. And Vidit had it all the way through, but you can never give up. You have to fight these guys all the way to the very bitter end. That was tough there. But still more games to go and an even match.
And we should just review that endgame one quick time here because it ended in a hurry. Levon was playing great defense to try and survive. He was down a pawn, and it was never objectively winning for black, so I want to keep that in everyone's mind, that it's not like Vidit threw away a win. Levon played great defense turn after turn, but right here, James, king c5, that is not the way to go because he walked into a fork, and once the trades happened over here, the black king, it's not in the square. Where is the square? You draw yourself a square to see, can this king catch the pawn? The answer is no, because the black king is unfortunately on a5. The white king, on the other hand, it's completely in the square, so that means that black is not going to be there in time as the white king can track it down. So James, this is elementary once you have time to look at it, and it goes to show that after knight d4 check, black should have given up the pawn and just brought his king over and tried to sacrifice the bishop for this last pawn.
Yeah, that was tough. It's very hard to see that too, because like, I mean, defending so well, finding everything, and really all it takes is one move. I mean, look at the accuracy there. Like that's just like, you know, to 1-2% off, like so close, being a few percent off. I mean, it's mind blowing. Like Vidit was winning, then he draw, and then you lose that one. You're gonna have to bounce back quickly because you still got 2 games to play.
And it seems so simple with so few pieces on the board, but chess, it can be difficult even with relatively few pieces left. And while this endgame was won by Levon Aronian to tie up the match, just like chess, so many possibilities. Sometimes it may seem simple, but isn't quite that. The Rubik's Cube is celebrating 50 years with the Make Your Move campaign. In those 50 years, Rubik's Cubes have spread across the entire world, with 1 in 7 people attempting to solve the puzzle. Like chess, the art of a Rubik's Cube is its complexity and the eternal human values of curiosity, perseverance, and creativity. With over 43 quintillion permutations and only one solution, what's your next move? Visit go.chess.com/Rubik's50 or use the command Rubik's in chat to explore. We're heading to break. When we return, it's the second half of these matches to determine who will make it to the top division of the Julius Baer Generation Cup. Do not go anywhere. We will be back in a few.
I think Anish has already retired from chess. He only plays so that he has something to tweet.
That's factual. I don't think it's mean. I think that's just quite factual. Yeah, I think it's fair. Fair enough. Anish started to draw memes himself so that he can finish his games quickly.
I don't think it makes sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I think you appreciate a mean tweet which is well thought of.
No, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, no,
if
it
it's
doesn't make
well
any
thought
sense.
of,
Yes,
well
yes,
crafted,
yes, yes.
you would appreciate it.
Okay, this is a good one, probably. When Vidit defeated Carlsen for the first time, he shared an epic reel on his Instagram. Since then, all I can see is reels of him dancing. Is that good? Okay, like a lot of words, you know, they really put in the effort there. I have to say I like your dance reels. I must say that. I can see that. I think that deep inside, this is something you enjoy.
Want to dance?
No, you want to, like, it's you. I think you really enjoy that. I see the spark in your eyes, you know, when you dance. Like whenever we looked at the Petrov and trying to look for new ideas, I didn't see that spark in your eyes. But when you're doing the real dance, I think it's good. But to be fair, not many people defeat Carlsen a lot of times, so I think it's.
Or not many players can dance also.
That's true.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta keep that Instagram content going, and if you only have to do it when you beat Carlsen, then Instagram would be a pretty dead platform. So yeah.
Why is Anish playing chess? He looks like an accountant who says he has 21 years of experience, but actually uses ChatGPT.
Wow.
Which I think
this is some good right there. I mean, wow.
Why are you playing chess, Anish? You look like an accountant.
No, but this is some meta stuff. Accountant who says he has 21 years of experience, but actually uses ChatGPT. Wow. No, this is actually good.
I don't know what is the insulting part. Everything?
Everything. Yeah, it hurts really, really deeply, but it's really good. It's really good. Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Julius Baer Generation Cup. Here you see Olympiad heroes for their nation of India. And these two, they didn't just win gold medals, they had the opportunity to meet the Prime Minister of India. Or should I say the Prime Minister had the opportunity to meet them. Here is a photo with Prime Minister Modi with the champions, both from the Open and the women's section. James, this is quite the photo op. You see that a chessboard presented to the Prime Minister from the nation's best.
Yeah, that's amazing there. I mean, it's just, you see how everybody's smiling and happy there. It's a huge moment for the country and for everyone, especially the team there, as they just did some historical things there at the Olympiad, both teams.
Just incredible to witness the talent from the country. But right now, it's not about national pride. It's about, can you win your best of 4 match? Vidit Gujrathi, he lost that game that we just witnessed. It was unfortunate for him. And Arjun, on the other hand, he scored a big win over Wesley So. So as we get ready for the third games of these matches, James, we do have liftoff. I see on all the way to the left, Fedoseev has already gotten going. He won his game with black. Some of these players, James, they have to turn it around and they have to do it instantly because it may be their last game.
Absolutely. You just have to play the game that is in front of you. That's all you can do. Man, every time I see the French today, it's like, oh, it's been lost every game. But Levon is using it again there. And let's see what's going on Arjun's. Okay, d4, c4. We see, okay, e6 on Wesley's board. Yeah, so all stable so far. We may get a spicy game in Fedoseev's game. Due to the London setup already, you can be very aggressive with intentions of casting queenside. And even rook g1, g4 ideas. That's obviously what I do. But fun. Very fun so far. Level. We get another crazy game of Vidit. Then they going down that line again.
I was listening to you, James, and I'm honest, I was hearing everything that you said, but I was looking at the game between Vidit and Levon, and I'm like, did Vidit study this during the break? Because Levon trotted this out the last time they played. It got super sharp, and we're right back down that variation, the board in green.
Yeah, that's the one we're going to have to go back to. That one there, he might have looked at, did he? Well, maybe he didn't because he's thinking now. So, yeah, unfortunately, he probably didn't look at it. But maybe, what do you play? Like, okay, you just take the pawn. All right. Okay.
Yeah, he did go knight b takes d4, which has been played before. I'm clicking on the openings tab and seeing that. Then now after knight takes e5, f takes e5, white can take on e6 with check, and things are getting messy with the white queen recapturing. But it looks like it's just some kind of theoretical discussion. White will get the bishop pair, but black will have a massive center. And I'm not going to make the moves because, James, look what's about to happen. Levon is going to show us some opening theory if indeed this capture happens on e6. The queen will come out to f6, and you're just trying to take advantage of the fact that the white king is also in the center.
I actually just like to move knight f3 just to keep pieces on the board and attack the e5 pawn. You might see knight f6. He did knight e6. So, oh, he takes. Here we go. This is crazy. Maybe you just trade? I think you have to.
So takes, the g pawn I think is going to take back because the e5 pawn is loose here. And then it becomes a true mess. I think white can always throw up an f pawn to try to get this bishop on a better diagonal. But James, this is what Levon prepared. So is he bluffing? I think he believes in this opening from the black side. But it does look nice, at least at first glance, because you have the bishop pair for white.
We do. We have the bishop pair, and it's sort of like a Grunfeld shifted over a file, also reversed at the same time. Like, it's kind of funny, like shifted and playing with the white pieces type of Grunfeld because of castle queen. I mean, you just get the same type of pressure you see in the Grunfeld, where you hit the center. F4, castle queen side, you hit these pawns for eternity. And, like, it's actually good for the player being black with when you're able to hit these pawns and use the pawn. The e-pawn being passed it's literally like a Grunfeld in reverse, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look at these moves. I mean, Levon has prepared this. This is some serious business from him. It goes to show he's taking the Julius Baer Generation Cup and the Champions Chess Tour seriously. And I guess the question I have, James, is how do we actually break down this structure? If you play c4 too quickly, there would have been bishop e3 and pawn to d4, and black would have been incredibly active. What are we looking? What is
he? He moving so fast, Robert. He moving too fast.
I don't understand it. I don't think Vidit does either because c4, that looks automatic trying to go after this pawn on d5. You want trades and the bishop to get out to c4. So what is what? h5 rook h6?
Hey, somebody checking. I don't know if what is going on? Yeah, this is insane, right? Like, what did you prep? How did he prep this? Takes probably f5, I assume.
What in the world did we just witness? h5, rook h6. James, these moves, like, they seem random, honestly. It just feels like Levon just picked squares for his pieces. But, wow, what a decision that has been made here. And Levon now thinking he might be out of his prep at long last. Okay, so sorry for the technical difficulty there. We will bring James right back as soon as we can. I thought that it was my earpiece, but anyway, f5 is played by Levon. He's protecting e4. He's also freeing up squares for his knight and the 6th rank for there's a rook, and he's just going after this pawn on d5. He can bring the knight in after that. So we do see some options for black to try to corral that pawn. That is a sacrifice pawn. And for Vidit, he needs to figure out what he can do best and to try to keep that pawn and see if he can proceed. So why don't we zoom out when we can to our 5-board view and see what's going on there. And okay, well, we see Wesley So on the right-hand side. That game is looking really sharp. James, I hear you, buddy. I think you're back. Cool. And you came back at just the right moment.
Oh, well, what happened?
Look at the board on the right-hand side, James. That looks like it's about to get pretty sharp, and Wesley played g5.
Oh, g5 and we live. Okay, what is this opening? Oh, what the heck? How did they even do this? It's like a London, but then played. There's no e-pawn. I don't know what happened in this game. In fact, is it Carol Khan maybe? No, I have no idea. What was this opening?
It was like a Torre attack, kind of like bishop g5 by white on the third move, and we already get that blue arrow suggesting this is the only move that keeps white with an okay position, because James, it's starting to look scary with a knight on e4, a bishop with a pin down here, threats against this bishop, h5, h4, as we've talked about in previous games. White could be in danger if he's not careful.
And that is correct, especially with this g5 very early. I mean, you just pointed out h5, h4 coming, g4. Very aggressive intentions here. Also b6 trying to break down that pawn center with this advanced c5 pawn.
So many options, and g4 actually threatens to win a piece. This knight on f3 is the only less valuable piece defending this pinned knight. So bishop b5, I don't know what the plan is after g4, because it does look like a potential piece sacrifice.
Definitely. Maybe a3. Maybe just play it now. Like, just get it over with. I have the bishop pair. My bishop is better. a3 and bishop takes. I guess you're going to take on g3. Yikes. Oh, my goodness. Didn't take e5? You play bishop e5, though.
I mean, Wesley's looking at this like, can I just play g4? Of course, this knight is not going to move. We can bring up an analysis board quickly. g4 threatens to just remove the guard from this knight on d2. If you play knight e5, something like that, thank you very much. I take your knight. My black knight is defending it. That would be bad. So after g4, I think he's trying some kind of funny business with queen a4, trying to get this bishop on b4 back. This is some wild stuff at the moment.
Yeah, it's very wild here. I mean, g4, I thought it was just a3 again, with some a3 action there. Just try to trade everything out. Queen a4 is sick, boy. Takes. Bishop d7. But the bishop's active too as well. At least our dark square bishop. So the d6, e5 squares we have. It's some scary stuff. I also saw this, right? Take on f3. Like, what happens? Takes. We take b4. You take g2. We go rook g1. Like,
of course, it's just equal, James. You saw that, right? It's just nothing to see here.
Equal what? What are they talking about?
This is actually crazy. Like, these kind of lines where even if you get here, you see that white may be able to get this g2 pawn back, but how do you assess these positions? It's not clear who is better and why.
It depends on how you feel, who you ask in there. I actually like these positions for white. I feel like it's dynamic. I'm a castle when I need to. I need to castle quickly. I could probably get attacked that way. I want to play rook g2. Just move this bishop into white's camp. Maybe reroute the queen around to the dark squares like f4. Rook left, get a rook to f3. Then maybe castle queen side. Something around it.
I'm with you. Yeah, there's a lot of sharp possibilities here. But unfortunately for Wesley, he is burning some serious clock at the moment. And he's played a committal opening. When you put a pawn on g5, and then you have to think, and then you're 3 minutes down against someone like Arjun Erigaisi, that's not really the place you want to be. So queen a4, that should be played pretty quickly. I guess Arjun, what else can he consider here? Don't tell me he's going to castle. Please, James, don't tell me he's going to castle and just give away his knight. Could he possibly do that?
He could possibly do it. Let me see. Castle, pawn takes knight. Yeah, I don't see a follow-up, though. Like, knight takes d5. No, it's just not enough. Feels like that's got to be wrong there. But g4 is on the board. Maybe a3 or queen a4. He has to. He's thinking about it.
I've just seen so many Arjun games where I feel like a move is impossible, and then he makes it look like, duh, how did you not see that? I'm gonna go checkmate my opponent now.
That's funny because he just did that. He actually just did that in the Olympiad. Like he was just playing whatever. And you're like, bro, what? He had that one game. It was like +3 or something. It was just like he sacked a piece and like still wins the game.
Well, he is just in some of the greatest form, I don't even just say of his own career, like in chess history. The way he's been able to ascend to 2,800 has been just impressive. It's been fun to watch, and he has so many fans around the world. He was maybe a little less famous than Pragnanda, who made it to the final of the World Cup, and Gukesh, who's playing for the World Championship. But Arjun, he's every bit up there with them. And I just want to call out one match here, actually two matches, because one of them changed. And it looks like Jan Nepomniachtchi and Magnus Carlsen, they're about to take care of business, James. That means it'll be the end for Min Lei and Jose Martinez. They'll drop to Division 2.
Boys are, they did play a World Championship match together. So, of course, they are playing, out of their mind here. They just have to do what they have to do. They've done it many times to get to where they are right now, and also doing it here in, CCT. It's hard. It's hard facing these guys. You're playing the best of the best here, and in these 4-game matches. This is tough.
Yeah, I feel for their opponents and for Jose Martinez in the purple board, he is down a minor piece. And look at that move. Okay, I'm just going to pull up Jan Nepomniachtchi's game. We haven't given him enough love. But the last move he just played, it is truly an exceptional move, and it's given the brilliancy. Look at this. Black has all sorts of threats here. The knight on e4 is loose. If the queen moves, e2 is going to come with check. Rook c2 will happen if you move this knight away. There's all sorts of stuff happening here. And bishop d4, that means that black has no chance anymore. Because if you take on e4, that looks pretty good. But then we start trading pieces, and your queen is overloaded because the bishop on a7 is not defended. So if you take on d4, the rook takes and protects the knight. James, I love moves like this because instead of being in any danger, Jan says, thank you for your minor piece, game's over.
And what they say a lot of times is the best defense is offense. And I never look back when I like to find, when you see those type of moves, it highlights that so much, and you get to see this at the highest level. When they do these type of moves, and you're like, oh, that's amazing, because the best defense is offense. Instead of defending passively or trying to find something to defend, I can defend while attacking, which you see here flawlessly from Jan.
Just cruising to victory now. If queen takes bishop, and that's in play, bishop takes bishop, e3 is falling in the near future, and queen f3, do not take that pawn, queen g2 would have been mate. And James, we can see, if the queens are traded, it's a winning endgame for white. If the queens aren't traded, down goes e3, rook f2, white just shields his king. So this has been great performance from Jan Nepomniachtchi against Jose Martinez.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, was this the English game? They started it as the English, I think.
This was in English, you're correct.
Yeah, he loves the English. He's a very sharp with there too. Many ways you can go. And just up a material here. Easy conversion. Rook e3, king f2. He plays a4. Just classy. Give them no material back and a resignation.
And that means we know that Jan Nepomniachtchi is in Division 1. He joins Alireza Firouzja, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and Alexander Grischuk. So congratulations to Jan. He played a great match. He took down Jose. So we say, well, I don't want to say goodbye to Jose. He'll be in the second division, but unfortunately for him, he will not be in the top one. So why don't we switch on over? We see that there are still 4 games going on for Magnus Carlsen. He's well on his way, it would appear, to victory. But look at Levon Aronian. I mean, he played the weirdest French thing with h5, rook h6, and now he's just in the driver's seat against Vidit Gujrathi. How does he do it?
It's the thing about being prepared and preparation. Like preparation is his preparation was insane. And the rook h6 move was wild. He moving instantly here. Got the time advantage and everything. It just worked out for him in so many areas when he prepped and looked at this line. Wonder how long and who did he look at this line with? He just came in and really crushed, especially with this French this time. But what's funny is how he destroys the French from the white side and plays it completely differently with black, which is awesome here. He's able to now almost take down Vidit in this game. Still some precision involved, as we've seen before, with Vidit winning or was winning and now losing the game there. So some precision involved, which will take us to one final game.
Yeah, you need to be precise, because in the first game, it was Levon, who took a pawn, and then he got forked with the enemy king, and so he lost game 1, which could have been a draw. Then Vidit lost game 2, which could have been in his direction. So why don't we go to Magnus versus Min for the moment? It does look like Levon will take this game, but that still leaves one game to go in their match. Unfortunately for Min, James, it looks like he has very little hope in the position. The a6 pawn is hanging and attacked twice, and that means White will be up 2 healthy pawns.
It's tough here. You get the side part of playing Magnus, losing in the SCC2 as well to Magnus. Then you face him again in another match. You're trying to play well, and he just lost this game. Does this come from a Catalan, I assume? I know he likes d4, c4.
It was a Slav, a chameleon variation, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, Min likes those positions, but now that we have what we have here, I mean, Min just playing it out because he knows that if he loses, he is down in Division 2. He wants to give himself a chance. And James, we tend to ask this question, and I'm going to ask you it sincerely. What can Black do to at least be tricky here to try and hold off Magnus Carlsen?
Yeah. Right. Like, yeah, how do you hold him off? Like, you can't, he can't, we don't have anything for him. It's it's very difficult, right? I think look for more tactical shots, as you've seen. Even Magnus himself, when I asked him about tactics, he's like, yeah, I don't like solving puzzles. I'm like, great, that's awesome. That's his weakness there. When he can still spot tactics, obviously, and give you no counter chances at all, which it seems like he's doing here right now. Controlling the game nicely. His king looks safe. The bishops are optimal on great diagonals here. And we have an extra center pawn. So really nice. In fact, 2 center pawns, but the F pawn kind of stops our E. But we do have a nice center pawn here. Very classy, easy for Magnus, as we would say. Easy conversion.
Yeah, I agree with you that somehow Min needs some kind of tactic, but unfortunately for him, we see pieces can be just traded off, like rook c8 here, if Magnus wants to. He can also play bishop e5 and close the center completely. There's just, I don't want to say zero hope, but there isn't really much of it until that move played. Bishop takes bishop, rook takes, and rook takes d4. Tactics. I think that's available to Black.
Tactics, right? How do you beat Magnus? You beat him with tactics. Yeah, okay, right. You just set it down, all right? So, but, tactical shots. Here's my chance. I'm
looking at Magnus' face. Look at him. Whoa. You see that? He shook his head. He's like, what am I doing? You know what he just did, James? He blundered the pawn on his chest.
Oh, there it is. He was like, oh, that's weird. They didn't tell me when I was going to lose it. Okay, there it is.
Oh, and you can see Magnus like, what did I just do? It was 2 healthy extra pawns. He can still play this for a win, right? Rook c8 check, rook d8, and you can get to these positions where White is playing for win and Black is going to try to hold. But it's not easy, as all pawns are on the same side. These 3 against these 4. Knights do well when the action is concentrated on one flank.
Yeah, it was very nice. In fact, even all the in-game books say it too, as well, as this is generally a draw, but there is ways to win it. I was actually reading that yesterday about trying to, when you trade the queens and how to try to win this with White from White's standpoint, which of course Magnus is going to show us too as well. You can trade down, get the king kind of close, maybe looking for some Zugzwang type ideas with the bishop versus knight in the optimal play. Understanding how the bishop should be fighting against the knight, pushing the pawns forward, get the king close as well, and hope for a blunder. That's all you can do.
And I guess you also have to hope for targets, like this f7 pawn. If you can get your pieces coordinated, the queen and bishop can line up. But e5 is the choice. That, of course, makes sense. This knight goes up to e4. Are there threats? Knight d2 looks scary, so he goes king g2. And James, the good news, after knight d2, the bishop is free to go somewhere, maybe bishop d3, and you don't get any checks along the first rank.
Yeah, he's able to get out of this here. This is exactly what Min was looking for, some type of tactical shot to get back into the game. The knight and queen combo are very deadly and dangerous here. So Magnus does have to pay attention, but Min also has to pay attention to his time, as it is possible to really blunder here, being under a minute.
And we see this is the only move that keeps Black in the game the way he currently stands. Knight d2 found by Min. This bishop, where is it going to go? Bishop d3 feels safe and sound. Bishop a6 is like running away, but it does feel a little bit loose. So Magnus, he wants to put pressure on the clock as well as on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the bishop to e3. I like he made it right. Okay, that's something that bishop comes to d3 could be quite annoying. Bishop d3 and e6 at the right moment. Maybe just e6. Maybe that's doing too much.
So bishop. Oh! Oh, Min!
Man. Bro, the tactics.
That was sick. I'm gonna go. I mean, instant replay. Queen G1. Take my queen. But after the king takes knight f3, fork back, and now we're seeing an endgame, James, where I do still think that black has a lot left to prove because these pawns are on light squares, and that means that if black isn't careful, white can try to poke at them, but it's going to be difficult to actually convert this game. In particular, the bishop doesn't match the h8 square, so if these 3 pawns come off the board, the 3 I've highlighted in red, G, F, and E, the game's immediately a draw.
That's what I felt too as well. With you can push. You have the extra pawn, bishop versus knight. And open board here. You could try to make this bishop go or this knight really short on squares. We take the knight at the right moment where it could be some type of zugzwang or some type of study, something where white wins. Very, very possible here. And time trouble. This is way easier said than done. I think Min has, as you said, there's a lot of work to be done here still. F6 question mark.
Yes, I think white can play bishop b5, and that's what Magnus does. Magnus is so good at endgames just like this. I see the feature chat Minlay with the comeback, but Magnus says, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm #1 for well over a decade now. And James, look at the king coming up. That knight is running out of squares.
Yeah, and here we go. As we just mentioned, you got to take at the right moment, and then this is just a winning endgame. Now, why do we do this? Maybe takes. We could just make a waiting move, right? No.
Yeah.
Okay, shorter.
Goes for a little threat here. Black is probably tempted to play a move like g5, but I think that could backfire as this knight on e6 can be attacked, and you won't be able to keep control over this side of the board. 8 seconds for Min. He needs to find a move. Whoa, he made a move, but it was the wrong one.
Right.
And now white is winning, apparently.
Yep, we saw this coming. Somehow we knew this was coming. Now, how do we finish? So f5. Okay, knight d7. He plays g5. We could take. Maybe I could go h5. H5 probably is going to make it a lot harder.
But the same h5 is the only move.
That's tough.
That's not an easy move to make, right? Because for white, you say black can control the dark squares, but he finds it. Of course Magnus does. I mean...
It's Magnus. He says, I'm going to zugzwang you. Zugged out is what I like to say. There are no real good moves besides shuffling, and at some point you're going to run out of moves.
And we are seeing Min making the moves. He's trying to kind of shut down the king side here, but h6, the only move found, that makes perfect sense, keeping the black king out. And look at the knight, James. It's completely dominated. Like, even if it gets to g5, it doesn't threaten all that much, and the white king is inching closer.
It's king f5. I mean, look at the Zug master here. Zugged out, as you have to move the knight at some point. Check. Whoa. It's like some... Bishop f7? No, bishop something, anything. And there it is. Beautiful. Don't take the knight, right? Yeah. Take the knight! Take it!
Taking the knight. Oh no, that g-pawn. It's going to become a queen real quick, but this is how Magnus wants to get it done. f6 now. King can take 1 pawn, can't something. Magnus Carlsen beats Min Lay. He blundered 1 pawn, James, but that still wasn't enough for Min to hold on.
Yeah, you needed more, of course. It's tough, man. And now I have to win 2. Wait, that's it. 2.5, 4. That's it. Thought he had another game, but in fact, he does not. Unfortunate. Magnus advances.
So Magnus Carlsen joins Jan Nepomniachtchi and Vladimir Fedoseev, who took down Grigory Oparin. So Fedoseev, Nepomniachtchi, Carlsen on the left-hand side of our screen, those 3 in a row, they have made it through Division 1. And James, that leaves us with 2 matches remaining. Levon Aronian beat Vidit Gujarati with black, and then Arjun Erigaisi and Wesley, so they drew their game, and that leaves Wesley with some chances.
One more game. This is it for both of them. In fact, Wesley and Vidit are on their last life here with must-win situations. So that is going to actually give us some great chess here. Of course, you can even see different formats or different openings based off of what needs to be done here. So sharp chess for sure.
Absolutely. For a few players, unfortunately, their time, at least for attempt at Division 1, has come to an end. We saw Fedoseev, Nepomniachtchi, and Magnus Carlsen win. But Arjun Erigaisi versus Wesley So and Levon Aronian versus Vidit Gujarati, those matches continue. But James, I think we got to give a round of applause to Fedoseev Nepo, and Carlsen.
Absolutely. I mean, they're playing phenomenal chess. Magnus and Jan, we see this all the time from them. Fedoseev is one where you don't see as much, but you actually are starting to see, even just, again, beat Magnus in the Olympiad. I mean, he won yesterday. Like, he is playing great chess right here. I mean, of course, his Chess.com, his username is Big Fish, and he's being a bigger fish today.
He is a shark that is going to be hard to take down, but you see some of the other players as they were competing in the third game of their best-of-4 match. Minlay, he is going to be in Division 2. Watch out for him there. He may even win that thing. But Jan Nepomniachtchi, James, we've seen some great chess from him. He was able to quite handily take down Jose Martinez. That bishop d4 move was really nice.
That shows a really in form Jan there too as well. As Jasper has been going crazy lately and just been tearing up things, winning Title Tuesdays as well. But Jan was a force to be reckoned with, had enough time, and was able to convert today. So great job from Jan for sure.
And Minlay, I mean, he did really fight against Magnus Carlsen. Sometimes when you're just playing Magnus, it's not going to be enough, but to find rook takes d4, and then you realize the endgame just got started again, James. I mean, Magnus, he never relents.
Yeah, that was tough, right? You find the moves, you get the pawn, okay, I'm feeling good, should be a draw in endgame, but then you realize, I'm playing Magnus, so my chances of drawing have decreased by 78.35% exactly, right? Like, really tough to face that, but, he always gives a good fight, as we always like to see. Magnus just being Magnus.
And there's Levon being Levon, wearing, I think, a Harlem Globetrotters shirt. And Vidit, his opponent, started with a bang, a win in game 1 for Vidit Gujrati. But then Levon, he was able to strike back twice, and he now leads 2-1. So Levon wants to get into that top division because, James, there are a bunch of players who are on the bubble. They, with a great performance, they can clinch no matter what happens elsewhere their spot in the CCT finals, which we know will be in December in Oslo. And there's Levon's name right there hovering in the middle. If he gets second place in the top division, he's through. He doesn't care what happens with anyone else.
Yeah, and they were all like this too. Vidit's the same way. He's like, yeah, but me too, right? Don't count me out, right? Of course, he has one more game here, and he has to work for it and play his best chess here. So we're going to see something wild here. I think, colors flip too as well. So we could have an Armageddon, very possible, but Levon is right there ready to not make that happen for Vidit at all.
And Arjun Erigaisi, his name is not on that list because he doesn't have that many tour points. But if Arjun gets into Division 1, wins the whole thing, which he of course is capable of, he will be in Oslo in December as well. So look at Arjun there. He's yawning. He's probably quite tired. It is late in India, but he's also had a busy day meeting the Prime Minister.
Yeah, like, I'm meeting the Prime Minister. What you doing? I'm eating lunch, man. Great job, Arjun, and of course the Indian team there. He's ready to go. But I like how Arjun stays calm no matter what's going on, even in lost positions in games against top level players. You can kind of see sometimes in his eyes, obviously, doesn't feel the greatest, but I like his composure of the game, and usually how you can handle, wins and losses. The same will make you a much better player. So Arjun, I see that a lot. Definitely an influential person, especially as strong as he's getting. I think world number 3 or 4 now, just right behind Gukestu as well, or I think right above, something like that. But those two are going back and forth here, so he's trying to close out this match today against Wesley.
Yes, and Arjun, he has been so strong. No, it doesn't matter the competition. He has been able to rise to the challenge. So for India, they're so proud of him. Double gold on board 3, and also for the team. But now it's about himself. He needs to take down Wesley. So James, what do you think Wesley's going to play with the white pieces?
That's a good question. He loves E4. I know his E4 course on Chessable is actually literally like an encyclopedia. I have many dubs from his part 1 and part 2 course on Chessable. Very strong stuff. E4, it was quite aggressive, I'm not going to lie. Except some of the Caro-Kann or like the French lines weren't my style. There it is, E4. He usually goes with the Italian game. So let's see what he have. Here it is.
Yeah, best by test is E4, according to Bobby Fischer. And for these two, Arjun did win the game with the black pieces. We saw Rook G1 check winning the white queen, but we didn't see exactly how they got there. So maybe Wesley had a good opening and he can rely on that once again. But sometimes when you have a bad result, you just don't want anything to do with how you got there.
Yeah, that's correct. You want to, sometimes you repeat, especially when you have the break and then you just go check that one line. You're like, oh, okay, this is the move. And then you try to, blitz that move out quickly so that you looked at it. And this is very similar. So let's see if they go back down the same line.
And in some of these positions we've been talking about, black goes for g5. But considering Arjun, he only needs a draw, I thought this is what he'd play. Bishop e7, James, I used to play this myself. It's a bit passive, but at the same time, it doesn't have any risk to it.
So just boring. All right, got it. It's completely something I'm not going to play. I get that. I get that a lot.
Just because we're twins doesn't mean we do everything the same.
That's correct. That's correct. We do look alike. I forgot. You're right. Yeah, we just don't play, like all the same stuff. That makes sense. D6. No, I've seen this before a lot of times. Actually, we used to play this, I think, too, as well. But I would just start, with bishop e7 and then go d6 as opposed to bishop c5, e7, and d6. But it's like the first things I learned.
And interesting that Wesley, he just went bishop back to g3 by himself. He said, I don't want any part of that diagonal. Maybe he wanted to avoid certain trades with the bishops staring at each other if the knight were to move. But yeah, let's move bishop g3 a bit curious to me. And Arjun now is sitting in for a think.
Thinking of what do I do? Many moves. Bishop e6, probably a6, a5. King h8, maybe try to push the f pawn at some point. Knight a5. So take the bishop pair, then move my bishop. Or not take the bishop pair. Try again. What bishop pair?
Yeah, that bishop's going to wrap itself around a4 back to c2. And as you said, what bishop pair? None. But doesn't black just get b5 and c5? This is exactly what you want.
And you know what? This is some type of transposition into a Chigorin Roy Lopez, where you get the queen c7 or even the knight d7 lines, which those are sick. I was looking at those the other day from Jan Werle in the Chess.com course. It's one that does not get a lot of love, but I definitely recommend it. He recommends b5, c5, knight d7 to b6. That's a sick line. Like, it was so cool watching some Fabi games on that. But you also can play it the standard way with queen c7 after going b5, c5, queen c7. And listen, hey, don't try this at home, guys. What's going on here, Robert, with these knights?
I'm actually going to explain why Arjun went knight a5 first. Let's bring up an analysis board. And right now, this knight is in the queen's line of sight, but as soon as you move the knight from f3, knight takes g3 will happen. But a few turns ago, and this is why black went knight a5, if you start with knight h5 immediately, white goes knight takes e5, and the knight is in the queen's line of fire. You can take back on e5, but I take your knight, I win a pawn. And if you take on g3, I have knight takes c6 with tempo against the black queen. So that's why Arjun actually started with knight to a5, because it allowed him to play knight h5 a few turns later. At first you're like, what are you talking about, Robert? It's the other side of the board. But by removing this knight from c6, it allowed the black knight successfully to get to h5, to take on g3. And James, black has that bishop pair, but white has a semi-open h-file. There could be a universe where white actually attacks down that flank.
It's kind of hard actually to even see now, like black in these positions. And the reason for it is I just don't know how to get the h-file open. I would love g4, g5, but I'm looking at a realistic standpoint. It's really difficult for me to actually create play. Unless maybe I could go bishop b3, knight f1, knight e3, queen d2, and then maybe aim over there. And then I could, but that takes a while. That takes a long time. Knight e3, knight f1, knight e3, queen d2, knight f5, or g4 at this right moment. Pawn g4, like there's a lot of things. If I could get the knight on e3, pawn g4, I go knight f5, maybe tuck the king on e2, queen d2, and put the rook on a to g1, and we have an idea. It takes a long time, obviously.
It does, but I think it's nice for everyone to be able to say, I'm not going to make any moves, so I'm just going to drag the knight to e3. And James's point is completely understood. Knight d5 and knight f5. But with the knight down on d2, you do knight f1, knight e3. It takes so long, and look at black saying, okay, what was that you wanted to do? I don't think you're going to get there. And if you play b5, that black knight, as you mentioned in some of the other positions, it can go b8, d7, and up to c5.
Yeah, and also with b5, the problem with it is the c6 chip away, or c5. Sometimes you'll see expansion, but b5. This is an awesome move from Arjun here because I'm creating something no matter what. With b5, you're going to let me chip away at this pawn structure. With b5, maybe even knight a7, a4, c6. It's usual there type thing, and it also just overextends the pawn a little bit if you go b5. a3, okay, I would trade those rooks off easy. Take. Maybe you take. Yeah, and I just kind of get you off your guard here after queen takes. I'm not as scared anymore about the attacks. That was a brilliant move by Arjun, I'm not going to lie. It's the reason why this man is like, 3 or 4 in the world right now.
Yeah, knight a5 first, knight back, and then pawn to a5. He's playing really well. He's just trying to make sure that the position doesn't get sharp because his king is already castled, and you know that white would like to get some serious action going on this side of the board. But let's go to the game between Levon and Vidit because it's also quite quiet for now. Levon, he has the white pieces. That puts a lot of pressure on Vidit. He needs to score a victory here. And so, James, my question for you is, Black is clearly playing on the queen side. If he played b4, is white just giving up a pawn on a4 and saying all is going to be okay? Because white may just go down a pawn there and black could be happy about it.
Yeah, we are considering this looks like a Sicilian. So it feels like, I mean, you have to look at knight d5. It is possible, but I don't think it works. Takes f6, knight takes f4. I don't think we're getting enough. It is crazy though. Like, you know, b4, knight d5, e d5, e5, and you just say, you know, I am coming at you. I don't think it works though. Takes. Like, this is hard. This is difficult. There's a lot. I mean, it's practical, but it's difficult.
But
like takes, and f4.
Your attacking senses were right, but your also defensive resources were correct. f6, a very important move. It allows the black king to move if it gets checked, but also allows the king to escape away from some of these pins. And look at the game. Because Vidit needs to win, a draw is not good enough. He plays pawn to g5 here, and James, we know exactly what he's going for. He's going for activity. If bishop to g3, I think he'll play pawn to f6, a very weird pawn construction, but it gives him some winning chances. It's just a very murky position.
Yeah, it does. Bishop g3, f6 is gross. That's so crazy. Now, I want to go knight d4 and f4, but even when I get f4 in and gf, or even if you don't, bishop f4, I still don't have a way through because of that pawn wall of d6, e6, f6 is an annoying pawn wall. I do have chances, obviously, but it's really tough to break through. I need some open line. I was about to say maybe take on e5 first, but yeah, steal f6. Dang.
And this bishop is fortunate that f3, bishop f2 will get it back in the game. Or not yet. Queen f3 going right after f6 and queen h5 check could keep the black king in the center. So good play by Levon right now. And if you're Vidit, I think you play bishop e7, and if queen h5 check, just king f8, king g7. And this bishop on g3, James, is a very bad piece. And now black is ready for some kind of b4 ideas.
Oh my God, this is very nice. The pawn wall is so nice for black. It's just a very nice pawn wall. Like, you cover all the squares of entry. I don't even have a pawn break. Like, I mean, not a good one, h4, but f4 is nothing. My pieces are not good, but okay. Then you have to say, well, what about black? What can we do? Which, of course, b4 is the real threat. Wow, you may have to sacrifice something at some point to really create something if I'm white here, but queen h5 definitely seems like a start.
Yeah, queen h5, give a check. The king will slide over.
Later.
Yeah, give a check, think later. I like that advice. But I do think that Levon, he's slowed down. In many of these games, he's been the quicker player, but with only a draw needed, sometimes that actually hurts your mentality. You think, instead of playing this ambitious move, let's play a trade here, or let's do this thing that gives me a perpetual check if my opponent allows it. So for Levon, he has really slowed down. Black has the paired bishops. The king isn't that unsafe, at least not that we can see. So I would say that Vidit should be very happy about where he is 20 moves into the game.
Absolutely. He can probably slow ball this too as well, just kind of slowly improve my position, but I have to, have some type of time edge or at least be good on the clock because, of course, as we've seen in that first game there, it was really rough for him when, maybe second game, but when he lost the game due to time trouble and in game literally by one move. Insane. From white standpoint, though, we got to put pressure. What do we do? Like, we h5, maybe try to double on the d file.
No, this looks like a brick wall. So I'm going to take us over to the other game. We'll, of course, keep a close eye on both these. But Wesley versus Arjun, that game, it's still one where white has not castled. But then knight came to e3. So, James, I just wanted to bring our attention here because you asked for that knight to be rerouted. And Wesley says, James, okay, I'll do it for you, buddy.
Thank you, Wesley. I appreciate it, big dog. So, yeah, that's he did reroute the knight here. And now we want to get g4 in, but that's just going to be captured. He might take with the f pawn here. I took with the queen, so now I'm good. Knight f5 and we live? I mean, c3 is hanging, but okay. Maybe queen d2 anyway. No sack it. Okay, don't do it. Queen d2, I guess.
Yeah, queen d2, maybe there's some kind of rook a2 or even queen a2 ideas in some of these positions where like, black does have control of the only open file, the fully open file. White's control of the H file, it's not very impressive with a pawn on H6. So I'm with you. I feel like, white should have a knight D5, a knight F5, but then what? It's just an impressive
I was about to say, maybe
that...
queen C1, because queen C1 hits the rook. Now we go knight F5 next. I mean, it's just a shot in the dark, We got to do something. Knight F5. So now we at least chilling on F5, but we gotta break through. Can't just chill there forever.
I kind of like knight F5, and I'm wondering what black's response will be after that move. Bishop F6 to go knight E7. It feels a little bit clunky, and knight takes H6 check. You're always tempting me to sacrifice a knight, so this is not an easy position. Maybe it's just going to be rook A8, bishop F8, and just try to defend like that, James.
Oh, that's annoying. That's a very annoying defense, too, as well. Can I swing? Knight around goes bishop F8. There's nothing there. Is there a... Nope, not possible either. Dang. I was trying to get like knight G5 in there too with bishop F8, but you don't even have to take it. Like, it's just like, oh, haha, move the queen and like, move away.
I love your ideas like that, James. You just throw everything at the opponent, and let's take a moment, just look at both boards at the same time, because the need is clear. Vidit Gujrathi needs to win with black. Wesley So on our left-hand side, he needs to win with white. So both players, they have to win. A draw means that they go down to Division 2. And James, as we look at the board on the right-hand side, it kind of seems the same, except white has pushed the A pawn forward, and that means that your greatest weakness now is actually not so bad anymore.
Yeah, it's now a pass pawn. Could be a strength here. It's definitely, as the Inja says, equal here. There's going to have to be some type of concession. Draw does not cut it, so he may have to break with F5, but that king is super weak. The bishop on E7, like, it's good to hold, but we need to break through. Hold doesn't do anything. G4, he can play FG. So, yeah, he's maybe trying to double the rooks here. In the meantime, white can just consolidate.
Yeah, why don't we take a closer look? Because the game on the left, that seems very close and nothing major happening at the moment. But as you're saying in this one here, that black at some point may need to push a pawn like an F5, but you can't get away with that very easily as this E5 pawn would become loose. So black is doubling on the D file, but James, can white just trade those rooks off the board? Some kind of knight C4 and here go all the pieces.
There it is. That's the move, too. He plays it and says, go ahead, try it. And your little F5 move, that doesn't work either. Because, and of course, knight takes E5 is going to be devastating. Maybe rook D4. Try to put the rook in the center, do something. Oh, there's a knight A5 threat. Oh, my goodness.
I'm trying to remove the question mark. You see that? I'm giving a half symbol. Because white only needs a draw. Maybe objectively that wasn't the best move, but trading pieces is smart when you only need a half point like this.
That's it. Trade them off. And you want to draw, shake hands, shuffle, right? Try to provoke them into a draw as much as you can. You're playing for 2 results. At least you're trying to. Obviously, don't play passively. That's when you can start to lose. But here, white's doing a great job holding up black. All the tension is in the center. Can be traded off quite quickly here. Even if you don't trade, I go rook D7 or rook D1. Something's going to happen on the D file.
And I'm looking at the top line because I'm so confused why, what black should do here. And it's suggesting take everything on D1. Okay. And then play queen D7 to trade queens. But black needs to win. So from the match perspective, this question mark is so wrong. It may, again, objectively be have been not the best move. But again, the equal sign, that's what this move is all about, trying to make a draw.
Yeah, trying to make a draw. And they're like, hey, trade everything off, go to an in-game, play it like Magnus with 2 bishops, bro. That's how you win. Like, wait, what? No. Is there any other alternatives? Because this is, we don't want to play that.
And Vidit, he is trying to dig deep and find something to do here, but I don't see how you avoid trades. You can... What piece can you move? Bishop c5 doesn't work because it's always going to be hanging over there. So I don't even know what active move black is supposed to play here.
Yeah, rook d4 runs into this weird knight a5 stuff after rook d4 first, and then knight a5, and you just lose. Just lose. So, yeah, it's tough. Like, you can even play f5, you can g4 does nothing. There's literally no moves besides like trading everything and queen d7 and hope or play like Magnus. Like that's all you can do.
And I'm just seeing absolutely nothing that black can do now because bishop takes e5 is one threat, knight a5 as you mentioned is another. So that makes this move even better. So I'm still bothered by this question mark. Come on, don't be so objective.
What did they want, in fact? Like, what did the engine want instead of knight c4? That's such a practical move too. The knight goes to the best square on the board.
It wanted bishop g1. Get out of here. Get out of here.
That's not a question mark? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, right.
Come on.
Yes,
Get out of here with that. Well, let's go back to our view of both games. It looks like Vidit, he's taking quite the think here. He needs to win from a position that hardly looks winnable. And on the left-hand side, Wesley So is threatening checkmate in one move. So if Arjun plays instead of like 2,800, if he plays like 28, without anything else behind it, he will fall for checkmate in one. But no, he has blocked the diagonal, James. He is way too good to blunder like that.
Yeah, he's not going to do that, guys. And 95 blades.
Getting sharp on that left-hand side here.
Oof, you didn't touch anything. That is sharp. Bishop f6. Oh, something happened. Yeah, the Vidit played bishop c5 over there. And that's not the move, apparently. There's got to be takes 95 looks winning, but maybe there's something greater.
I think you're right, James. Just trade the rooks on d7, knight takes e5 with check, and then pick up the loose bishop on c5. So I think it was a position where Vidit knew that no matter what he did, it was going to be equal, so he might as well lose the game instead of just drawing. Like, you have to try something.
Might even be knight a5 too. Takes, knight a5, queen something, take on c6, queen c4, rook c7, bishop g1.
So James is saying if rook takes, just knight a5, take this bishop, and then bishop g1, and that's yikes because there's pins everywhere. So queen takes d7, knight takes e5. That might be it, and that doesn't really help help black, excuse me, because the bishop is hanging on c5.
Nice. Yeah. That's it. He had to play for a win. I mean, you see it all the time. He took with the rook. Knight a5 might be just clean. Knight e5 is clean too, though. Depends on how he wants to do it. There it is. Take. And you can hit the button.
And that's going to be sad for Vidit Gujrathi. He won the first game. The second game, he was up a pawn. It was rook, bishop, and 2 pawns against rook, knight, and 1, and even lost it. And that's why this match has been a problem for him. So why don't we head back away from this one, because we know that Levon, he's got it in the bag. I think that Vidit actually might even resign in a second just because there's no hope in this match. But it's Wesley So against Arjun Erigaisian. Wesley, he's making some progress here. He took a pawn on d6, so white is a pawn ahead, James, and it looks very active for him.
It does look active, and active is the way to go. Best defense is offense, as we saw, especially with that Jan bishop d4 move was very nice. But here in this game, f2 is hanging, so how do we stay active? But also, do we care about f2? What do we do? e5 is a move, but that takes on f3, take f6. No. Sharp. Very sharp. Rook f1, there might be queen e4.
Yeah, this f2 pawn being loose is such a nuisance for white to deal with, because otherwise you just trade queens and black's pawn structure. But queen f4, this is a must-win move, James. It gets the blunder, symbol, but if queens were traded on e6, I think there would have been too many further trades for white to have any hope. So queen f4 allows knight takes f2, but we know positions like this, they get kind of crazy quickly.
Plays rook e3 because there was a fork on d3 on g5. Oh my goodness. Okay, but I go queen c7.
Yeah, I don't understand g5.
Yeah, I'm not convinced yet. G5, queen c7.
Like, g5 also gives away the h6 pawn with check, right? And then you can take out g5. What is g5?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Like, just play g5, bro, and like give up the pawn with check. Then the queen has to move away, and like, what? No, g5 is wicked.
Yeah, engines are just way too strong, and if he plays g5, that could be just the most ridiculous move of the day. But queen c4, think about how natural that is, James. He's just saying, okay, my queen gets to a more advanced square. I am going to try to checkmate you with some sort of tactics on the second rank. How does white even play on?
Yeah, queen c2 is deadly, especially with knight h3 being a check after that. Oh my goodness. So you have to, I don't know, is sacking now a thing? Do we just go for it? Knight h6, take, allow queen c2. Yeah, I'm looking crazy. Maybe knight g5. No, I'm getting mated. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He plays king h2.
And look at this. The move for black is h5. By the way, Levon Aronian, he won that game against Vidit Gujrathi. He only needed a draw. Vidit gave it his all, but that means Levon Aronian will be in the top division. Vidit Gujrathi will be in Division 2, where so many of the other strong players reside. So not the end of the world, but not what he wanted. And James, in this one, Arjun Erigaisi, he is on the cusp of making it to Division 1. h5, though, not the easiest move, though it does secure the g4 square for the knight.
Plus, I was trying to get queen c2 in anyway with the threat of knight g4 checked in, right? So, this is all like, queen c2 is what I wanted to play anyway. So queen c2 hits the rook, rook goes to g1, he's calculating that. He might find it actually after that. Maybe he finds it now, but queen c2, rook g1, then you'll be like, I want to get g4 in. Oh, play h5, then you'll be able to see that quickly in that order. Because it's very human-like, but h5 is nice.
h5 is a really good move, and we see Arjun spending time with his rook a1, not a blunder, but not the best decision, so missed opportunity. h5 was available, but Wesley's in time trouble, James, so he's going to have to find moves fast.
Knight d2, and what do you do? Takes. Whoa, that's a queen sack. That's because mate on h1.
Oh, rook h1's mate!
He took the knight.
But queen c2, that's a pin along the second rank.
Queen c2 is correct. Queen c2. Oh, yeah, that's a good move. Okay. Queen c2, and what do you do? Knight takes a6, a7, and then it'll be double on a1.
Yeah, it just seems very just direct here for black. Rook e2, there's not even a good discovery. Yes, the rook is under attack, but here just maybe slide your rook out the way, and that should suffice for a huge advantage.
Yeah, rook d1 or maybe just rook d1. Rook c1. Okay, takes. There it is. He takes. There's no checks, he says. Oh, queen. Okay. g4's coming. Rook is hanging.
That's game.
No time.
That's
zero.
Match.
That's it.
Yeah, Arjun Erigaisi, too strong, and he was the 5th player to choose his opponent, so he was left with Wesley So. You know that's not who he wanted to face, but it doesn't matter who gets in the way of Arjun Erigaisi. James, the guy seems completely unstoppable.
Yeah, especially, when you get that confidence, you on a roll. He didn't lose a game in the Olympiad. Like, he was winning, then win, draw, like win. He's winning everything, and he's insane. He's locked in. Confidence is through the roof here right now, and he's playing, right through Wesley So here. That was excellent.
Wow, what a performance by these 5 players. You see that Vladimir Fedoseev got the job done against Grigory Oparin. I'm not even sure we looked at a single moment of that match. It was over so quickly, but Fedoseev continues his top form. Jan Nepomniachtchi beats Jose Martinez. He found that nice bishop d4 move. Magnus Carlsen, he had some inaccuracies. He missed some tactics, but he still wins in the endgame like he often does against Min Lei. Levon Aronian, that was a wild match against Vidit Gujrathi, 3-1 in his favor after dropping the first, and then Arjun Erigaisi. Look at that, James. That's what they say. Draw with white, win with black.
Yeah, draw with white, win with black. That's what you see. A lot of that on the board there. Of course, sometimes you can win with black there. You saw Yandu and Arjun Erigaisi winning 2 black there, it looks like. But good stuff. Overall, the players played very strong here, but, the best made it through today, especially in the 4-game matches. That's where, the longevity or marathon, really the strategy is very important there. So tough games, but congratulations to the winners today.
And we have had so many great games and so many awesome moves, and it's very difficult to pick just one. But I think that if I had to, it's actually going to be perhaps an unexpected move, if I can grab it here. But we are getting our Rubik's move of the day, and it's actually not this game. I'm having trouble picking the move that I want, but it was from Arjun Erigaisi against Wesley So. Not from this one, but an earlier game, so I apologize because I'm stuck here. I'm going to be honest. I'm just stuck. I can't find my way out. I'm bad with technology. I'm a boomer. I should do Rubik's Cubes. That's what they say, right? But no, Rubik's Cube is for everybody. What was it? 43 quintillion, permutations, and 1 in 7 people in the world have done a Rubik's Cube. Did you know that, James?
That is insane. And the people, they're doing it in a second. Like, hey, 15 seconds. I'm like, no, you didn't do that. It's insane how fast they're doing it with the Rubik's Cube. So I'm curious, is anyone in chat a Rubik's Cube GOAT or Grandmaster Rubik's Cuber? If they even call you that, that's amazing.
Well, Rubik's is a proud partner with Chess.com. 2 of the oldest games that, popular games that people still play today. So it's been awesome to partner with them. And I'll get you that Rubik's move of the day in a bit, but before we head to a break, I do want to shout out another partner with Chess.com because there are so many great ones. AniChess is a free-to-play magical chess game, bringing you a totally new way to play chess. Now AniChess Alpha, the player versus player version, is available exclusively to invited players. Visit go.chess.com/AniChess or use the command AniChess in chat and use the code CCT to accept the challenge. Ooh, wizardry, magic, chess, all in one. We'll be right back here in the Julius Baer Generation Cup. This has been an awesome show. We already know the 5 players joining the 3 already qualified. Levon Aronian, he got the job done, as did Magnus and Jan Nepomniachtchi and Arjun Erigaisi and Vladimir Fedoseev. We'll be right back for more. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back in a few.
Looking for new ways to enjoy chess? Check out our schedule of Chess.com community events today. Mondays, play Rapid Opening Roulette and expand your opening repertoire with a new opening each month. Tuesdays, compete against other Untitled players in Untitled Tuesday. Battle your way to the top in Arena Kings on Wednesdays. And finish the week off each Saturday with the blistering Community Bullet Brawl. All happening in the Community Club on Chess.com.
Hi, I'm Badana and I'm here with Judith Polka, and I picked a game that I really liked of hers to show today.
And this game was special for several reasons, but let's move on with some of the next moves. And then I tell you more and you ask your questions. I took back. It's a pawn sacrifice for initiative. I was always very happy to give up material in order to look for activity. E5 I played, right? Knight e7.
Bishop g5.
Bishop g5. Yeah, I like this move generally because I pinned the queen. And now castle. So I do like to sacrifice pawns. At the same time, if I don't have to give up material, I might as well take it back, yeah? I took this back, queen takes. Knight c6. Why is this possible for black?
So we're attacking the queen, and if they take on c6, then we can take on g5.
And when you saw this game of mine, what did you think around this position?
I thought white was still better because it's just more active and developed, I felt. And also we might play bishop f6 at some point.
Oh, that can be strong, yeah?
Yeah.
So I like my move. This was a very strong move, moving away my queen and b6.
All I ever wanted was to be accepted by people and this and that. But I'm walking into hip hop, solving Rubik's Cubes and talking about anime and Star Wars, and it's not a vibe. But through it, I was always myself. Oh man, the feeling I had the first time I saw the Rubik's Cube was it's only begun. Because I was it took me that long to do it. And I just wasn't satisfied. Then I'm okay, cool, what's next? And that's also how I feel about chess. I love chess and I love the Rubik's Cube because you can't beat them. It's like a game you can't beat. That's what's so cool about it. And the only person that you're really essentially playing against is yourself. Yeah, I was 24 years old and I got a Rubik's Cube and I went on YouTube and I told myself I was not gonna leave the room until I finished it. And I was in the room for 14 hours.
We are here with Grandmaster Arjun Erigaisi, double Olympiad gold medalist, and also taking part in the Division 1 of the Julius Baer Generation Cup. Arjun, congratulations on your match victory. And my first question for you is, you had the 5th pick, so you didn't really get a pick at all. You knew you were going to play against Wesley So. How did you motivate yourself for what probably was one of the tougher opponents that you could get?
Yeah, hi, firstly, thank you. And yeah, going into today, I saw the results of yesterday, today morning, and I already felt most likely I'll face Wesley. And I didn't have much time to prepare. I had a very hectic day. I reached home like 15-20 minutes before the match. So I thought I'll just try to give my best and take whatever comes. And yeah, I managed to play pretty good chess. Honestly, I didn't have much expectations because I thought I was quite tired to play at a high level, but I think I played quite well.
Well, they always say, right, draw with white, win with black. That's what you learned, and that's what you used in your match against Wesley, right?
Yeah, quite the opposite.
Well, Arjun, you met the Prime Minister today. What was that experience like for you and the rest of your team?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was actually yesterday. And yeah, I'm just very happy that chess is getting this kind of recognition. And also, it was very humbling to see that like he actually remembers all the people that he meets. Like for instance, he recognized Prague from their previous meet. So it was very pleasant to see that.
It was amazing to see the photos with the Prime Minister after, of course, the amazing videos and photos from Budapest and you all celebrating. I just want to ask you, have you had any time to take in what you all did? Because you scored 10 out of 11. You're nearly 2,800. Your neck must hurt from those double gold medals. Like, how are you, Arjun Erigaisi, feeling after all of these successes?
Yeah, I'm just super happy, very happy. I did set a goal of like 2 gold medals before the tournament, but I didn't want it to pressurize me, so I just had that out and I put it aside. I thought I'll just take one game at a time and focus on that. And yeah, I did very well. Also, the team did very well. It was a totally combined effort. All 5 of us, the captain, and also the assistant coaches. I think this is one of the things like most people underlook. The assistant coaches really played a huge job. So special shout out to Sankalp and Vaibhav.
Well, as you said, team effort, and you were one of the stars of that team, so everyone here is rooting for you. And there have been many questions from the chat, so I'm going to ask you a couple of those. Well, first one that I'm going to ask is from Mrinal Kalamdani, who asks, who would you have picked as your opponent if you had had a choice, given the 5 players that there were to select from?
I think I would have likely gone with Min.
Any specific reason, or just because you have to pick somebody?
Yeah, I know he's very solid and not so easy to beat, but I do believe he's slightly weaker than the other opponents, if I may say so.
Yeah, so many strong people to choose from, so somebody has to be the choice. And, well, speaking of difficult choices, you were on a TV news interview, this is Japan Night 19's question, about the World Championship match, and you said it's going to be a massacre, so I'm just curious, after playing the Olympiad with Gukesh and seeing what he's brought to the table, like, what brings you to that thought process, given how strong Ding can be at his peak?
Yeah, so Gukesh was like seeing all the variations, calculating well. He was very sharp, and not just during the games, but during our post-game analysis and whenever we were talking about chess. So I could see that he's at his best possible shape. And yeah, Ding is like not at his peak. If Ding was at his peak, I think it would have been a very close match with 50-50 chances. But yeah, looking at the current form, I think Gukesh is a huge favorite.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the world agrees with you there. Well, you have a lot of chess left to play, so you are facing off against Alexander Grischuk tomorrow. How do you feel about that matchup? He was recently the captain of Iran at the Olympiad, so I'm sure he's looked at your games quite a bit.
Yeah, I had no idea until you mentioned, and I'm quite looking forward to playing in Division 1. The very first, like last year, the first leg, I was in Division 1. And after that, I just never returned to Division 1. So I'm happy after so many attempts, I'm back in Division 1 and I'll try to give my best. And yeah.
Well, as I said, so many people will root you on. And one last question from the chat. I know it's late in India. This is a fun one from Pink Muffin 24. The question is, Arjun, can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
And no, my sister can solve, but I cannot.
Well, clearly something that we all can learn from our siblings, because I also can't solve it. Well, Arjun, I know it is late in India. You've had such a whirlwind of recent times. Huge congratulations again for all the successes. You're nearly 2,800. You won double Olympiad gold, and now you're in Division 1 here at the Julius Baer Generation Cup. So I'll let you get your rest, but we'll see you tomorrow, won't we?
Thank you so much. See you too.
Well, thank you, Arjun. You are a star. That is Arjun Erigaisi, fresh from winning Olympiad gold, meeting the Prime Minister. And James, he doesn't even know who he's playing, but we do, because he plays against Alexander Grischuk. And as you look at these pairings, not just that one, but the others as well, I'm guessing you're going to circle a certain World Championship rematch. What other matches stick out to you, James?
Yeah, definitely the World Championship match. Want to see that one. I do want to see LeBron Aronian and MVL. Those are two heavy hitters that have played against each other countless amount of times, as the others have too as well. But that one's always just like, very dynamic chess versus very dynamic chess. You have obviously LeBron Aronian, which is so ferocious and attacking chess, playing all kind of openings, and MVL with Knight Orphan Grunfelds and E4, playing very aggressive as well, tactical chess. So that one's going to be a all-out clash as well. Good to see that one.
Yeah, this field is absolutely stacked. I mean, we are spoiled when we look at the Champions Chess Tour because every single participant, they earn their way there, either by their performance in the previous leg or getting the job done in these play-ins, which are grueling, Swiss, and then match play, and you have to outlast some serious competition. So we heard from Arjun Erigaisi. We failed at this before, so hopefully I can do this better the second time around. Let's make our way to the Rubik's Make Your Move of the day, because let's check out what Arjun Erigaisi did in order to beat Wesley So. In this position, the last one play was b4 from white. It's given a question mark, but it's a perfectly logical move. And Arjun calmly retreats his rook to f7 here. What's his idea? He wants to bring his rook to the open g file because rooks usually wear stare downs with the queen. This isn't even my move of the day. It's just one of them. It's the sequence. Pawn to c5, rook to g7, just like what I know from Rubik's Cubes. You don't just do one at a time. You need to figure out the proper sequence, kicking the queen back. The queen goes to f1, and here the blue arrow gives it away. But so many of us would have played rook g1 check, winning the queen. And after knight takes g1, the problems are that white is ready to go promote this pawn. That looks scary. You're not checkmating this white king, so that pawn is going to be something you have to deal with. Black can get a miracle draw here, but otherwise you'd be in trouble. Instead, in the game, after the queen went to f1, Arjun, it's like he draws the blue arrows himself. He plays queen h4, and the key here is that knight f2 check will put the king in checkmate, so only the white queen can sacrifice, right? You take this pawn here, same idea, except not, because the queen comes in with checkmate in one thread, and you do not have time to push your passer. So in the game, Wesley was forced to play rook d2, and now rook g1 check is even better, because once the queen is captured, you can't take the knight. Queen e1 comes in, winning the rook, and after a few more turns, Wesley tried to grab that knight. It was to no avail. The rook is captured, and the black queen will actually get back around. The queen can go to h3 once the king moves away, and it's threatening checkmate while stopping the pawn. So that is our Rubik's Make Your Move of the day. I have to appreciate it, show it some love. It's queen to h4. That whole sequence was masterful, and we want to shout out Rubik's. And you all, what's your next move? Visit go.chess.com/Rubik's50 or use the command Rubik's in chat to explore. James, Arjun doesn't know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Can you believe that he doesn't know how to do something?
Yeah, of course. I understand. It's so crazy how, like, with chess, I mean, like, oh, man, he's great at everything. And then if Magnus is like, no, it's not like that. But you would think so, of course. Rubik's Cubes are so fun. I just don't know how to solve them either as well. But he does know how to solve this chessboard, apparently, playing some of the greatest chess we've seen and more to come.
Yeah, I can't solve a Rubik's Cube. Arjun Erigaisi, James Candy, we all can't do it. So We do appreciate Rubik's as a partner with Chess.com, but I also want to thank you, James. It's been a fun time covering the action with you. We now know who will join Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Alireza Firouzja, and Alexander Grischuk. Their names are Vladimir Fedoseev, Magnus Carlsen, Jan Nepomniachtchi, Arjun Erigaisi, and last but certainly not least, Levon Aronian. It was a slugfest. These players gave it their all, but when all is said and done, we know the 5 names that will join the other 3 in Division 1, which will commence tomorrow. Same place, come back to Chess.com and watch the show. We appreciate you all. For now, we say goodbye on behalf of James Candy and myself, Robert Hess. We'll see you next time.